year round. WindowTech's in-house team handle every install. No middlemen, no hassle. And with a minimum 10-year warranty, we offer quality built to last through the hottest summer days and the harshest winter nights. Hurry in this summer for a 5 to 10% discount. WINDOTEK. Visit 13 Bedford Street, Queanbeyan, or online at windowtech.com.au.
Tradies. Grab a Mazda BT50 from $49,990 drive away at Phillip Mazda. Mark Levy on 2CC.
Max is listening in Orange. He says, Mark, I expect a discussion over the weekend. Subject, people that say bloody daylight savings, it's not a bank account. No, it's daylight saving, not daylight savings. So there you are. Daylight saving. It all comes to an end on Sunday morning at 3 a.m. when it then becomes 2 a.m. Well, it's been a busy week. Thank you for your company. A lot of the news stemming out of the United States this week with all the tariffs and everything else. So I'm sure that'll all unfold. We'll keep an eye on the finance markets. But most of all, have a great weekend. I'll be back with you tonight to call the grudge match, the Book of Feuds, the latest instalment between South Sydney and the Roosters. I certainly hope you can join us from 7 o'clock on the continuous call team. But Michael McLaren's up next, then Clinton Maynard. Adam Hawes has got Wide World of Sports, and then we'll have some footy. Have a great weekend, and if I don't speak to you beforehand, I'll see you around the roundabout. Bye-bye.
This news thanks to the Energy People. Winter's coming. Heat your home with Panasonic and theenergypeople.com.au.
From the Capital Radio Network, 2CC News.
It's 19 degrees in Canberra, partly cloudy today, reaching 23. From the Capital Radio Newsroom, good afternoon, I'm Caitlin Lewis. Small businesses and tradespeople are being promised relief in the form of instant asset write-off regardless of who wins the election. Labor's promising to extend the policy for another year, allowing for $20,000 in essential purchases to be deducted from the tax they pay. But Liberal leader Peter Dutton says the coalition wants to make it permanent and increase the cap to $30,000.
The government doesn't believe in this, and I think what they've done now by flipping it temporarily to $20,000 is to try and patch up a problem of their own making to get them through the election, and then I think it reverts back to $1,000.
Wall Street has suffered its worst day of trade in 5 years following President Donald Trump's latest tariff announcement. The restrictions have prompted renewed concerns about an all-out global trade war. But Bell Direct market analyst Grady Wolfe says the global uncertainty could prove a positive for Australian households.
Assuming Australia does not retaliate with any tariffs or anything, Trump's tariffs will then pose a threat to growth on a global scale, causing inflation here and the inflation there as well. And so therefore we might have the RBA cut rates, which is good for Australians.
Varroamite has been detected at a property in the Cowan district of the ACT. This is the first time varroamite's been detected in the nation's capital, and the government is working with the affected beekeeper to provide advice on management techniques. More updates will be given directly to beekeepers as information becomes available. For more information on varroamite, visit the ACT Environment website. Melbourne gangland figure Tony Mockbell is a free man for now, while he appeals his convictions because his lawyer was a police informant. Stephanie Wacklewick is at the Victorian Court of Appeal.
After 18 years, Tony Mockbell said he swears he will abide by his bail conditions, thanking the panel of 3 judges for their decision. The Court of Appeal was told he has a very strong case, the judges believing he's not an unacceptable risk of breaching bail again. They declared his infamous arrest in Greece in 2006 was spectacularly unsuccessful, and today's circumstances are very different. He's been in harsh conditions in Bowen Prison, which the judges believe would be a deterrent. He's also aged since then and suffered a traumatic brain injury, saying he isn't the man he once was. The gangland figure will have to comply with 29 bail conditions, including that he live with his sister, who has also put up $1 million surety, wear an ankle monitoring device and report to police daily.
At least 27 Palestinians have been killed in an Israeli airstrike on a school in northern Gaza. The building's believed to have been serving as a shelter for displaced families. And electric vehicle sales in Australia are at an all-time high. Tesla sales are dipping, but last month 14% of all car sales featured EV technology. EV Council Chief Executive Julie Del Vecchio says the sector is continuing to grow.
So we have upwards of 100 makes and models that they can choose from now. It's unsurprising that we're seeing a range of new manufacturers come to the market that offers consumers a lot more competition, and we're even seeing electric vehicles come in under $30,000 a year.
In the news ahead, last night's handgun incident at the MCG has prompted calls for a rethink on police stop and search powers. And the head of the Master Builders Association suggests that increasing female participation in the construction industry could help the ACT meet its housing targets. Plus, the latest finance and sport here at 2CC.
With What's Needed Electrical, you get fast, reliable, affordable service even in emergencies. Specialising in domestic, commercial and industrial work, they offer obligation-free quotes and over 40 years of combined expertise. From installation to split system air conditioning, lighting, switchboard upgrades, power points, ceiling fans and so much more. Stay powered up with What's Needed Electrical. Family owned and run since 2017. Visit whatsneeded.com.au. That's WATTS needed.com.au.
Now back to 2CC Midday News.
Last night's handgun incident at the MCG has prompted calls for a rethink on police stop and search powers. 2 men armed with handguns managed to evade security and get into the Carlton-Collingwood game. Barrister Matt Collins KC says under the current laws, police would have had to act very cautiously.
Police can search you if they reasonably suspect you're carrying weapons or drugs, but they need to tell you that they have that reasonable suspicion. Once they've said that, they then have a legal right to pat you down. But save in sort of certain extreme circumstances, no, there's not just a right to pat somebody down in public.
The head of the Master Builders Association suggests that increasing female participation in the construction industry could help the ACT meet its housing targets. With only 249 homes beginning construction in the last quarter, the lowest number since June 1998, concerns are growing over the industry's ability to keep up with demand. Anna Nilagama says women only make up 14% of our construction and building workforce.
And just under 3% are in the construction trades, as in on the tools. So obviously there's heaps of capacity there. If you make building and construction an attractive place for women to work, to really close that skills gap. And, you know, that's a big focus for Master Builders.
And the Canberra Brave is leaving its home in Phillip. Brent Ford explains.
The AIS Arena is set to transform into an ice hockey stadium as part of an agreement with the Canberra Brave to host 11 games at the venue this winter. The deal will see the Brave with a state-of-art facility to defend its 2024 Goodall Cup Championship title, with work commencing soon to build a temporary rink inside the AIS Arena, providing spectators with full bowl seating, a first for the Australian Ice Hockey League. The Canberra Brave have played in front of capacity crowds at Phillips Swimming and Ice Skating Centre since the team's inception in 2014. Brent Ford, Capital Radio News.
Petrol Price Watch.
Checking petrol prices, and unleaded is $1.79 at the 7-Eleven in Spence. It's $1.77 at the BP Express in Kingston and $1.80 at the Ampol in Corwell.
The latest finance report.
The ASX 200 is down 103 points at 7,756. Gold is selling at $3,110 an ounce, and $1 Australian dollar is buying 63.22 US cents.
Sports update.
Raiders coach Ricky Stewart is no closer to understanding what sort of high tackle constitutes a sin bin as opposed to just a penalty. Back rower Hudson Young was sin binned during their 24-20 win over the Sharks. It's since been deemed the same grade offence as 2 other high tackles during the game, only warranting fines. Stewart says he doesn't understand.
I don't know what I can do as a coach, because I don't go out and coach grubby tactics. I don't go out and coach to be ill-disciplined.
Matilda's goalkeeper Mackenzie Arnold has been ruled out of tonight's first match against South Korea at the Sydney Football Stadium. And in the AFL, Collingwood's defeated Carlton 63-46 at the MCG. And that's the latest from the Capital Radio newsroom.
2CC Weather, Australia's biggest ever golf sale under one roof. Pete's 45th birthday. Canberra's International Golf Centre, Narrabundah.
Partly cloudy today, reaching 23. Sunny tomorrow, also reaching 23. Sunny again on Sunday with 21, and partly cloudy on Monday and 23. Hearthstone Bakehouse is open from 6 a.m, 7 days a week. Your perfect morning coffee spot at Spence Shops or Kippax Fair Shopping Centre.
Stephen Senatiempo.
We all saw the Prime Minister fall off that stage, but his response was, no, I didn't fall off the stage. One leg went down, but I was fine. We actually saw him fall on his backside, and then he lied to our faces and said, no, it didn't happen. We'll lower your energy bills. We won't change the stage 3 tax cuts. We'll keep interest rates down. I didn't fall off the stage. Do you see the pattern here? This is a bloke who could not lie straight in bed. Is this the bloke that should be running the country?
Canberra's best breakfast with Stephen Senatiempo. Weekdays from 5:30 on 2CC.
Attention travellers, Bags to Go Fishwick's Luggage and Travel Mega Store is on sale now. Get ready to jet off in style with extra discounts across a huge range of handbags, luggage, duffel bags and travel accessories. We'll beat any advertised price on top brand luggage.
The sales are on right now at Bags to Go, but hurry, it's on for a limited time only. Save up to 50% on Samsonite while stocks last. Visit us now at bagstogo.com.au for fast free shipping. Conditions apply.
We're Bags to Go and we're priced so low.
Your local LDV dealer has a powerful new T60 Max Ute waiting for you. Right now, get the 160 kilowatt T60 Max Pro Auto, backed by a 7-year warranty, and get a massive saving of $4,000 off. Now from just $36,990 drive away for ABN holders. But hurry, there's limited stock available and this offer won't last long. Visit a dealer today. LDV. Bring it on. New stock vehicles only, excluding MY25 and plus models. T's and C's at ldvautomotive.com.
On 2GB and network stations. This is Afternoons with Michael McLaren.
Well, it is, and it's Friday. We're at the end of the working week. The election campaign rolls on. Thank you for your company. Nice to be with you, and hopefully you can stay with us for the better part of the next 3 hours, because we've got some good guests coming your way over that time. 131873 is the open line number, as you know. Just call if there's something on your mind. And look, so I keep reminding people, you know, you drive the program. We're just the jock. So if there's something on your mind, something you're thinking about, something you're talking about, something you think should be raised, and we haven't done it, we'll take the initiative and do it. 131873. You can text, of course, 0460 873 873. And there's always email, and we get wonderful email correspondence from people with a little bit more meat to the bone of the substance of what it is that a text doesn't allow for, obviously. 2gb.com, click on the feedback icon, whether you're in West Virginia or Western Sydney. Both of our political aspirants are in, prime ministerial aspirants anyway, are in Western Sydney. There's a Daily Telegraph forum underway. The Prime Minister has just spoken. Peter Dutton is speaking now. And there seems to be a bit of a pep in Dutton's step today. I don't know, he's looking more convincing, more animated, more engaged. That's a good thing. Perhaps the Liberal campaign heard what many of you were saying on the open line yesterday and said, all right, come on, let's pull the finger out, let's get going. Don't forget, pre-poll voting opens on the 22nd of this month. So people talk about the election campaign being 5 or 6 weeks. Well, yeah, in theory. But people, and many do, start casting their ballots well and truly before we get into that final week. So you don't have that full amount of time to drip feed your ideas and to prosecute the case. You've got to do it now. You've got to do the hard work now. Now, look, obviously, globally, the attention's still on these tariffs. I'll speak with Timothy Lynch, very, very bright man, professor of political science at the University of Melbourne, writes really well. But he was writing today in The Australian, getting us to try to look at this, not through an economic prism, there's 1,000 people doing that, but to look at the whole tariff movement culturally. And he's written a piece titled "The Real Story of Liberation Day Was Not Economics, It Was Culture." And he says, look, this ties into the broader MAGA ideology. And he explains why. And it's a pretty compelling argument. And I'll speak with him later this hour. I think you'll enjoy that. Equally, I think you'll enjoy hearing from the wonderful Peter Overton, one of the people that I admire in the media. Peter is a decent human being. He's a gentleman. And, you know, the media can be a cutthroat business, and not everyone that operates in the media is necessarily a lady or a gentleman. But Peter certainly is. And I admire him for that. I admire him for his longevity in the role that he occupies as the main newsreader for Channel 9 in Sydney, of course. Very competitive role. and I admire him in the way that he can communicate a message trustworthy. And I think that's a difficult thing to achieve. I mean, we try to do it here, but when you're reading the news, I suppose to a degree anyone can read a teleprompt, but communicating in a way that the people then receiving that message in their lounge rooms believe what you're saying to be true, that's an art form. And Peter seems to have worked that out better than almost anybody. So I look forward to speaking to him on the eve of his birthday. He's turning 59 tomorrow. We were going to speak to him because the sources that we rely on reliably informed us that he was turning 60. But we've removed one of the candles from the cake. We'll save that for next year. Let's call it inflation. Alice will be back with our real estate segment at 1:30. Now, don't forget, if you want your property valued in the weeks ahead, get in touch. There's a page off my part of the 2GB.com website, but you can call here and we'll put your details in for you. So if you want an appraisal of your property, you don't have to be selling. You might just be interested. What's it worth? 131873. Get in touch with the team out there. We'll put you in touch with Domain, your details anyway, and we'll get you on air and we'll talk about the property in the weeks ahead. And for Friday food, well, of course, the focus at the moment with tariffs is beef. We're going to throw our support behind the Australian meat industry. I'll speak to the general manager of the Australian Meat Emporium. They do a pretty good business down there near the airport. So we'll be speaking about Australian meat, Australian beef in particular, after 2 o'clock for Friday food. Let's go and support the local farmers. 131873. Almost 12:15 Friday. That's got to be a good thing. Hope you got a good weekend planned. Look, I wanted, though, to start today by appealing to any historians out there that might be listening. And I want to ask you this. Has there ever been a figure that attracts so much media attention as Donald Trump? Seriously, has there ever been someone like that? I mean, I can't think of an individual, be they a sporting star, a movie star, a president or a warlord, that's absorbed so much focus and so many column inches, not just at home but around the world, as Trump. I mean, he is the omnipresent force, a political black hole that just sucks everything in. Now, obviously, the past 24 hours has been particularly intense with all the tariff stuff, but I did a quick whip around before coming on air to count the number of stories that featured the word Trump in the headline or the first paragraph. At the Sydney Morning Herald, it was at least 17. At the Oz, it was 18. The ABC Online, they came in a little bit more modest at 11, but they had a lot of other stories about Trump that just didn't explicitly use his name in the first paragraph. Over at the Fin Review, it was 19, and it goes on. And, of course, tariffs are not this sort of phenomena. It's actually nothing new. In fact, despite Australia being in the middle of a federal election campaign, I reckon it'd be odds on that the name Trump appears more frequently in our major newspapers than either the names Albanese or Dutton. Go and have a look. Go online and check it out. It's true. Now, like him or loathe him, and I reckon the loathe camp are probably in the ascendancy right now, certainly on Norfolk Island, Donald Trump has mastered the art of becoming the story. And with the platform now all to himself, he's basically rendered everything else irrelevant. About the only way the Democrats in America get any attention these days is to pull on a stunt like that senator did the other day with his 25-hour bladder-defying filibuster. And even most of the anti-Trump cable networks are suffering relevance deprivation, plunging viewership figures and declining revenues. Now, of course, all of this could change. The frenetic pace of change that Trump has inflicted on the American economy and society could whiplash. But at this point, despite massive stock losses, that signal intelligence breach, the Ukraine situation, Tesla in all sorts of strife and all the rest, Trump's opponents seem incapable of landing a glove. In fact, earlier in the week, 2 Florida seats in the Congress came up for re-election, and the Republicans held both of them, and comfortably. Mind you, if the economy crunches under the weight of tariffs and if the cascade of manufacturing jobs doesn't materialise in the Rust Belt, the MAGA ideology could cop a reality check come the midterms. Just let's see. But in the meantime, while the president remakes America in the MAGA image, he's inadvertently remaking the political landscape across the Western world at the same time. Now, it was only a couple of months ago that Canada's Liberal Party were out for the count. They were gone. Led by the increasingly unpopular Justin Trudeau, they were on the verge of political obliteration. The Conservatives, led by the charismatic Pierre Poilievre, were odds on to sweep to victory. Poilievre would have made Trump's life a lot easier. But then Trump turned his attention to Canada, the would-be 51st state, and within 3 months managed to inflict a seismic realignment on that campaign. Now, with Trudeau replaced by the former bank governor Mark Carney, the left are back in with a shot at victory. Now, just to put this into perspective, on January 6, the Conservatives were polling at 44% primary vote. This is in Canada, compared to the Liberals, and they're sort of left. They're not liberal like they are here. The Liberals were on 20, the Conservatives 44. That was January 6. Yesterday, the Liberals were on 43, up from 20 up to 43. The Conservatives from 44 down to 37. And it's pretty much all a reaction to Trump. Now, in the United Kingdom, the Labor government, under all sorts of pressure, have started to see improvement in their stocks as well. The leader, Keir Starmer, or Sir Keir Starmer, who looked hopeless only a month or so ago, has seen his approval ratings rise. Here in Australia too, it seems the Trump factor will cost the right more than it will cost the left at the election. Now, for many outside the United States, Trump's going too far, too fast. The recalibration against DEI, well, that was well enough received. The determination to cut waste is, well, that's something most sensible people realise has to happen in London, Canberra, Ottawa, as much as Washington. But everything, everywhere, all at once, with the tariff cherry on top, bit too big a mouthful for many. And the instability and fear that accompany it are driving people back to the predictability of incumbency. In other words, despite becoming the flag bearer for conservatism around the Western world, Trump is actually now proving to be a drag on conservatives' chances across the Western world. Now, it's early days. But one of the ironies of the second coming of Trump might be that it denies the resurrection of the right of centre parties in many allied jurisdictions. For Dutton and his political kith and kin around the world, all of a sudden, it's not the 10% tariff on beef that's the issue. It's the political tariff that Trump is indirectly imposing on their campaigns that's proving to be the most dear. A tariff that, well, only a month or two ago, at the height of MAGA cultural euphoria, they and very few others saw coming.
And he's beaten them all! Tonight, round 5 NRL starts when the Rabbitohs take on the Roosters.
They've been on from start to finish.
Can he get it down? That's on the line. That's a try. Thanks to ProTunes Car Audio Mitchell, Alexander Watson Insulation, and the one and only Harvey Norman Fishwick and Belcott.
Must score! Will score! What a try!
The continuous call team.
It was a cracking first half.
Tonight from 7.
He'll be delighted with what they've dished up here.
On 2CC.
Now at Harvey Norman, 15% off selected AEG laundry appliances and 30% off selected AEG laundry appliance packages. Upgrade to premium AEG laundry appliances with this hot offer. 15% off selected AEG washing machines, 15% off selected AEG dryers, or a massive 30% off when you buy a selected AEG washer and dryer in the same transaction. Experience the premium AEG laundry range with this amazing offer. Now at Harvey Norman. Limited time. Conditions and exclusions apply.
Looking for a place where everyone can thrive? Communities at Work offers disability programs for children, teens, young adults and adults. With after-school care, school holiday programs and day programs, we can help you achieve your goals. Live independently, build social, emotional and physical skills and make new friends. Our dedicated disability team is here to support you every step of the way. Visit comsatwork.org or call 6293 6500. Communities at Work, building connections, enriching lives.
Hi, this is Sean from Cranky & Sons. We're a small family-owned company. We can help with all your plastering and painting needs. Professional plastering and painting for over 50 years. Cranky & Sons can help you with small patches to renos, new and old, from interior to exterior. We sheet set in corners from fancy to new, both residential and commercial. We service all of Canberra and the surrounding regions. Get in touch for a free quote. Find us on Facebook or online. Just Google Cranky & Sons for contact details.
ACT concrete water tanks are the ultimate solution for residential, commercial and industrial projects. Preferred by plumbers, drainers and builders, our high-quality above and below-ground tanks are built to last. With 50 years in the business, our family-run company prides itself on exceptional service. Owner and director Ben ensures every tank is constructed to perfection. Trust the experts at ACT Concrete Water Tanks. Visit us online at actconcretewatertanks.com.au.
Attention travellers, Bags to Go Fishwick's Luggage and Travel Mega Store is on sale now. Get ready to jet off in style with extra discounts across a huge range of handbags, luggage, duffel bags and travel accessories. We'll beat any advertised price on top brand luggage.
The sales are on right now at Bags to Go, but hurry, it's on for a limited time only. Save up to 50% on Samsonite while stocks last. Visit us now at bagstogo.com.au for fast free shipping. Conditions apply.
We're Bags to Go and we're priced so low.
Thanks to Sears Workwear, Barrier Street, Fishwick. Call 131 873. Michael McLaren on 2CC.
Karen on the text says perhaps the late Princess Diana would be up there with Trump. Look, yes, certainly when she died and the fallout for about a month after that, where the princes were up in Scotland and the Queen wasn't in London and this. Okay, yes, but I think broadly speaking, Trump demands so much more media attention than even Princess Diana could ever have. Across the world, day after day. I mean, it's just endless, right? Endless. And even if you don't want to read a story about Trump, you can't avoid it. You know, it's just everywhere. Now, okay, that's part of his playbook, and it's worked for him, and it could work against him and work for him again. And I mean, it's all very turbulent. But I just can't think, and someone said, oh, what about Hitler in World War II? Maybe, but look, I don't think Hitler was getting as many column inches in the Sydney Morning Herald and the equivalent newspapers here and around the world day after day, dominating the headlines as Trump does. I don't think the name Hitler would have been there day after day after day after day in 20 or 18, 19, 20 editorials, opinion pieces and news stories every day. They just wouldn't. And yet here it is with Trump. There's an obsession, right? It's a fixation. I don't know what it is. Anyway, if someone can suggest to me someone who's been more dominant for longer in the media, I would love to hear it. 131873. Julie on the text says, repolling. She says, I've done an unofficial poll with friends and relatives Australia-wide. Not one person will vote for Albanese. I also spent the morning in hospital and the person opposite me made a statement he'd never vote for Albanese again. None of these people have been counted in an official poll. She says, I don't have any faith in the polls. I believe there to be an overwhelming vote against Albanese. Well, there will be, Julie. You're right. There will be an overwhelming vote against Albanese. He won't get more than 50. Yeah, he might get Labor, that is. 32, maybe, % of the vote. So 60-odd% will be voting for someone else. But whether the coalition can get enough to claw back marginal seats and then be in a position to govern in their own right or have enough of the crossbench to get in their corner to then form minority government, that's a different story. Labor proved at the last election they can win government, majority government, with just over 32% of the primary vote. Now, they could do that again. So the coalition have to get Labor's primary vote down further, preferably into the high 20s if they can do it, and get their own up near the 40 mark, if not beyond, and then they're in with a shot. Thank you, though, for taking the time to write. Bernie says, I think Coles and Woolies should clearly identify all US-sourced goods on their shelves so consumers can decide whether to buy it or boycott it. Bernie, that's a bad idea. That's like the BDS movement, but no, Bernie, please. You don't punish American producers because you don't like Donald Trump. That's in the same way you shouldn't punish Israeli manufacturers because you don't like Benjamin Netanyahu. You know, that's collectivism at its worst. And Bernie, the other fact of the matter is there wouldn't be that many American products on our shelves in the supermarket, I wouldn't think. If we're at it, why don't we label all the Chinese ones? I mean, in the scheme of things, America's not our biggest worry. 131873. Now, interesting story in the Oz Today by Stephen Lunn. Stephen writes some really good stuff. And it's got nothing to do with Trump, okay? So if you need a Trump fix, just walk away for 5 minutes, we can come back to it. But Stephen was writing about the households, and this might be you, that have the 20-somethings still living at home. I think you can add the 30-somethings, and increasingly it's the 40-somethings. And the reason is not so much that the kids want to be home, but that they just can't afford to get out or whatever. So as he says, it's 1 a.m. Here's a scenario, okay? You've probably been through this. It's 1 a.m., and despite your best efforts to get a good night's sleep, you need to drag yourself into the bathroom. But wait a minute. Is that your daughter's new boyfriend already hogging the upstairs loo? Welcome to Intergenerational Harmony 2025 style. He says the 20-something kids are not only still at home, their friends and partners are there too. On the couch just when you want to settle in for a couple of episodes of Slow Horses. Negotiating the fallout from shockingly high house prices, exorbitant rents, 5-year double degrees and crippling HECS debts means more and more families are coping with offspring at home way into their adult years. It's true. It's true. Now, whether they're coping or they're quite happy, okay, it depends on the family dynamic. But as he says, parents and quote-unquote kids are having to create new rules and habits for how to deal with their roles when the power dynamic has shifted just a little off kilter. All right, now, is this you? I want to know. 131873. Still got the 20 or 30-somethings at home? Are they bringing the better half or the worse half for sleepovers, as it were? They've become a permanent fixture. You need the sort of a fifth chair around the dining table every night now. And I mean, what do you do with the food bill? How do you deal with the power bill, the water bill? There's another body using the hot water in the shower and, you know, flushing the toilet 6 times a day and using the lights and the heating and the air conditioning, and then there's more food at the dinner. How do you cope? Have you got all the different rules? Do they pay part of the rent? How are you negotiating this? Because you go back 4 generations. I mean, this would be pretty rare, someone in 25, 26 still at home, unless they weren't married. But now it's probably 50-50. And even if they're engaged, they might be saving up for their property, and you say, all right, you can stay with us. And I'm not saying it's a burden, but you know, things need to be renegotiated, and maybe this will be my fate, 20 years hence if Natalie's still with us and whatever. So anyway, Stephen's put together a bit of a cheat sheet here. He says, here are some of the things that parents and kids should know. 1, Mum and Dad don't want to be cleaning the kitchen after you've quote-unquote cleaned. In other words, do it right first time. He said, your room is not yours to pile up used teacups and crusty breakfast bowls and leave your untidy as you like, unless you're paying your per square metre share of the mortgage. Full-time working parents almost can be brought to tears of the joy by this text, don't worry, dinner sorted. Do that occasionally, he says. Bunging your clothes in the hamper isn't doing your laundry. Buying milk at the corner store isn't doing the grocery shopping. That one would resonate. The board you pay, if any, is not actually covering your costs. And your parents aren't too happy about running into random sleepovers in the bathroom in the middle of the night. But he says, parents, don't be too smug. Here are a few hard truths for you. Much as you may like it, your 20-something kids are unlikely to be living with you by choice. In most cases, if they could afford the housing, they'd be out the door in a flash, which is probably true. Anyway, the article goes on and on, but you might want to buy into that. That might resonate. That might be you. That might be your story. 131873.
Hi, Leon Delaney. Today on Canberra Live, David Pocock calls for an investigation into ANU's alleged contempt of the Senate. Peter Dutton's approval ratings drastically plummet in latest opinion poll, and Australian mushrooms are now in space. Canberra Live from 3 on 2CC.
Go Harvey Norman. $1 upsize deal on now. Choose a selected queen-size mattress and for $1 more, upsize to a king. That's right, pay just $1 more to upsize from a queen to a king. Choose from a selected range of big brands, including Sealy Posturepedic, King Coil by A.H. Beard, Sleepmaker, Beauty Rest, and Temper. Hurry, $1 upsize deal on selected big brand mattresses ends Monday. Harvey Norman. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions and exclusions apply.
These few seconds of sanity are brought to you by Canberra Walk in Avery. Film, feed, or just lose yourself amongst the 60 species of birds and their 1,000 square metres of sanctuary. Book online at canberrawalkinAvery.com.au. Canberra Walk in Avery, Gold Creek Village, Nichols. Beautiful noise. Beautiful noise.
Craving the sizzle? Philly's Chicken by Carabar Takeaway has hatched next door. Feast on their barbecued whole chickens that the family will love and choose from their delicious dipping sauces, tandoori, piri-piri or rich Mediterranean. Succulent fried chicken pieces and for dessert, delicious Sunday soft serve. Whether delivery, pick up or dine in, Philly's Chicken is your new go-to for flavour-packed chicken. Philly's Chicken, now open from 10:30am to 8pm daily.
Talking Canberra, 2CC, a Capital Radio Network station.
We're talking Canberra.
Attention landlords in Canberra. Are you aware of the new minimum insulation regulation? Does your property comply? Did you know your installer must be certified? What about the mandatory certificate of electrical safety? Avoid the fines. Call Australia's biggest employer of certified insulation installers, Alexander Watson Insulation, based right here in Canberra. Don't risk it with a dodgy installer. Call Alexander Watson Insulation. Canberra's cold. Your house doesn't have to be. alexanderwatson.com.au.
Janine Florist, serving Canberra for over 65 years, helping you with a perfect gift. Whether it's a birthday, a thank you, or sending love during tough times, Janine Florist has the perfect arrangement, delivering 7 days a week all over Canberra so you can make someone smile anytime. Order before 2pm for same-day delivery. Visit their store Monday to Saturday in Bailey's Corner Civic. Order online at janineflorist.com.au or just give them a ring. Janine Florist, where every bouquet tells a story. janineflorist.com.au.
The deals are getting hotter and hotter at Open Mobility. Hurry in for superb deals now. Get hot deals on selected lift chairs, scooters, bed packages, and popular products such as the Ucello tipping kettle. Check out the hot deals online or in-store today. Discover the Open Mobility difference with free delivery, free setup and demonstration, and the 5% price guarantee on everything. Open Mobility's hot deals are on now, opposite the post offices in Belconnen and Tuggeranong.
This is Ian Meikle, editor of Canberra City News. If you want to know what's what and why, don't miss our top columnists and writers every week in print and every day online. City News, well written, well read, and I reckon well edited too.
Michael McLaren, thanks to Sears Workwear, Barrier Street, Fishwick. Call 131 873 on 2CC.
All right, let's get to some calls. 131873 on this interesting Friday afternoon. Clouds rolling in from the west, just looking out there. I don't know if we're getting any rain, but the blue is vanishing from the sky. Hello, Julie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. My son, he's 27 and still lives at home.
Yep.
Has a girlfriend. They alternate houses. Her house one night, our house the next. Doesn't pay board, rent, doesn't contribute to any of the bills, but that has made him be able to save up for a deposit for an investment property.
Yeah.
So if we didn't help him that way by letting him stay at home and we had him contribute to everything, he wouldn't be able to save the money for a rental property.
So I guess that's the calculation you and your husband have made, and so, okay, might give us the dirts occasionally, but you'll never get out unless we sort of do it this way. Exactly. Yeah.
So you've got to work what's best for you.
That's it. Well, it sounds like you've got the formula there, though, Julie, right?
I have. I just closed his bedroom door because I don't want to look in there. Close the door. They've got their own bathroom because there's only just my husband and myself and him and the girlfriend back and forth. So they've got their own bathroom, and I just close the bedroom door, and that's it.
Okay, good for you.
It's all good.
Well done. All right, power on, Julie. Well done. It sounds like you've got it sorted out. Keith, what's your story?
I've got two at home. One's completely opposite to the other. My 25-year-old son with his girlfriend. I'll give you a good example. Valentine's Day, he put a beautiful note for his girlfriend. He said, "Dad, take your marriage express card and take Mum out for dinner. We don't want you here."
Oh, righto.
And then their 2-year anniversary, same thing. "Dad, take the card out. Take Mum out. Don't want you here."
Now, Keith, when you say take the card out, you mean take your card out or his?
His.
Oh, good. Okay, right.
Oh, no. I don't have a credit card.
Okay,
for
smart.
one reason. Don't like it.
Yeah,
And
I'm the
then,
same.
Then I get told, "Oh, Dad, can you please leave the lounge and we need it?" Oh, fair dinkum. I can't even relax sometimes.
But do you acquiesce? Do you say, all right?
I let him go because he is saving. My little girl's the complete opposite.
She's already out of the house, is she, or what?
No, she's there. My oldest is out. But that's funny thing about them. He's living at his mother-in-law's place.
Oh, he's sort of out. He's out yours and in hers. Oh, well, good grief. Well, look, I mean, on a serious note, though, I mean, it is tough for them because, but getting a foot in the ladder real estate-wise has never been harder.
It is. And we're helping him out in the near future with some land.
Okay, well, good for you. Well done, Keith. Mate, battle on. You're doing well. Try to claim the couch a bit more often, though, I think. Stand your ground on some things. Well done. 131873. Hello, Trent.
Yeah, g'day, mate. Yeah. On the tariffs, has the government looked at maybe making the 10% GST exempt and then basically one counteract the other?
Making what GST exempt, sorry?
The beef to the US, which is current, I think he's put a tariff on it at 10%. So if the Australian government removed the GST component on it, then everyone's happy, aren't they?
I don't know if it attracts GST on the way out. I'm not sure, Trent. I understand what you're saying. If that's the 10% component and if we can obliterate it, well, then it's even Stevens. But some are saying to me that there isn't any GST applied or any tariff applied to the beef that does come in or go out anyway. I don't know. Let me look at that. Let me have a look at that, and I'll see if I can get a definitive answer. I understand what you're saying. And if it were that simple, then maybe we should do it. I appreciate the call, Trent. 131873. We'll take a break. When we come back, Timothy Lynch.
Canberra weekends start with the Garden Gurus.
To get the iris going, let those roots get down. Very easy things to grow.
The Sunday Roast.
I wonder what a non-essential worker is. You can do without them until June 30. There's a good chance you could do without.
And the Reverend Bill Cruz.
Do you think the government has squibbed it by not having the courage to stand up to the big gambling companies and their major sporting codes made?
Canberra's best weekends on 2CC.
Now at Harvey Norman, no deposit, 60 months interest-free on a Latitude Go MasterCard and participating Latitude credit cards from Latitude Financial Services. Available on eligible purchases using an equal monthly payment plan. Monthly credit card fee currently $10.95 applies. Plus receive a bonus Harvey Norman gift card when you spend $1,000 or more on interest-free purchases. Shop furniture, bedding, laptops, TVs, fridges, appliances, flooring, bathrooms and more. New customers must be approved. Minimum financed amount $1,000. T's and C's, credit card fees, charges and exclusions apply. Now at Harvey Norman.
E-bike. Let's ride an e-bike. Ride an e-bike with Big E Bicycle Hire. Big E Bicycle Hire delivers to you at home, by the lake, or pack a picnic and ride to the lake.
Big E Bicycle Hire. E-bikes to ride where you want to ride. See the sights without the sweat. Canberran locals love Big E bicycles, and you will too. Ride where you want to ride with Big E Bicycles. Big E Bicycle Hire. Visit bigebicyclehire.com.au today.
Seize the moment and make your dream Mazda a reality. At Phillip Mazda, find exceptional value across the range. Mazda 3, Mazda 6, CX3, CX5, CX8 and CX9. Looking for a ute? Dual cabs and traybacks, manual and auto available. All models come with Mazda's 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty and 5 years roadside assist. Your moment is now. Phillip Mazda. Melrose Drive, Phillip, or online at phillipmazda.com.au.
Western Cruise and Travel, it's time to see the world.
Ready for your next travel adventure? Western Cruise and Travel, your ACT travel professionals, have an award-winning team with over 50 years of experience ready to help. Call us on 0262 884400, find us on Facebook or visit us in store. Western Cruise and Travel, proudly part of the Chris Watson Travel Group. Start ticking dreams off your bucket list today.
The latest dinner menu has dropped at Macca's. The Hot Honey Chicken Range, featuring the Hot Honey McCrispy, the Hot Honey McSpicy and Hot Honey Dipping Sauce with Chicken McNuggets. Embrace the drip at Macca's. Available after 10:30am for a limited time.
Hey, big spender, Sweet Charity is coming to the queue. Step back to the swinging 60s with this hilarious, heartfelt musical with some of the best loved songs and most iconic dance numbers. Sweet Charity is on from 29 April to 18 May. Book now at theq.net.au.
Michael McLaren, thanks to Sears Workwear, Barrier Street, Fishwick. Call 131 873 on 2CC.
Okay, good to be with you. It is 17 minutes to 1. Look, there's been so much focus on tariffs, mainly from an economic point of view, and the overwhelming consensus from the economists has been that this is a really, really bad idea. But from a cultural point of view, very few have bothered to do the hard work and try to work out how this fits in culturally to the MAGA movement in America. In other words, what's inspiring this? If it's not economics, what's driving this reflex to tariffs from Trump? Well, Timothy Lynch, who I have a great amount of respect for, writes brilliantly, does wonderful work at the University of Melbourne, was writing in The Australian overnight that yesterday Donald Trump was in his element. He said he rarely seemed happier, and there were unionists, auto workers, farmers, the builders, makers of things, applauding him. As Lynch went on to say, the defection of these men and women from the Democrats, who forgot how to speak to them, to Trump, who learned and completed the picture. He said, what we saw was an American politics realigned, a president imperious. Now, of course, all of that can turn on a dime, to use the American phrase, if these people's jobs start going and the stock market crashes and a depression or a recession kicks in, as some are predicting. But right here and in the right now, a lot of the traditional left-wing voters in America, the unionised workforces, are cheering Trump on. So what is going on? Well, I thought we'd bring Timothy Lynch in, and he's on the line with me from Melbourne. Great to speak with you, Timothy, again. Thank you for your time.
No problem, Michael. It's great to be here.
You're one of the rare few that have looked at this not economically but politically. How does the whole tariff movement fit into the broader MAGA cultural movement?
Well, I think it's a problem that the left have with Donald Trump, is that they assume he represents simply an economic dislocation, and then all you have to do is redistribute wealth, and the Democrats will win back supporters that they've lost. And that forgets, I think, that Trump's appeal is not that poor people stand in his ranks. It's that middling group of people who aren't quite wealthy, who aren't quite poor. The poorest, of course, still vote Democrat. It's that group of people, the struggling middle, the battlers, we might say here, that feel not just that their jobs have gone and job security has gone, but that they've been relegated in the culture, that they have suffered a social setback of decades duration, and they've had no one on either side of politics prepared to speak for them. Trump came along and did speak for them. So his appeal is not to do essentially or fundamentally with economics, but with status. And he says, I will get your status back. I will wage a culture war on your behalf. And they are, we'll see if this happens, they are prepared to wear some economic turmoil in order to get back this cultural hegemony which they've lost over the last 30 years.
In your piece, you said economists are busily scorning the logic of Trump's reciprocal tariffs, but you say his command of the politics and culture of his trade war was the story here, sort of the long-term game rather than the short-term hit to the stocks or whatever. And you say, look, none of this should really come as much of a surprise. I know that the stock markets around the world are crunching this, but you say you go back to an interview he did. It was Playboy magazine. Of course, everyone read those for the articles. 1990, he was 43 at the time, and it wasn't the world, but it was Japan in the crosshairs then, in the Trump worldview. And everything he was speaking about then has, I guess, globally been fulfilled yesterday.
Yes, he's had one pristine line across his entire adult career, and that's that foreigners are screwing us. And until we recognise that, we'll continue to get screwed. If you interpose in the decade since, the 4 decades since he gave that interview, there's a good deal of prescience we've got on that we might credit to President Trump, that America has gone through a catastrophic war on terror, defeats in Iraq and Afghanistan, the 9/11 attacks itself, evidence that big government could not protect Americans at a very basic, ordinary level. And then, of course, the global financial crisis, again, where the banks and the capitalists were bailed out, not the ordinary Americans. And then the attendant deaths of despair, a fentanyl crisis, huge, soaring suicide rates, and the defenestration of industrial America, that great heartland that gave America its identity after the Second World War. So you can see that his first and initial instinct that the world is made up of nefarious foreigners out to get us was given huge political power by the experience of the last 40 years, which have seen the failure of free trade and globalization. It's almost as if, I know we think Donald Trump came from nowhere. You could actually, I think, argue plausibly that you would design the Trump presidency if you didn't know it was going to come about, based on the experience, the cultural dislocations of the last 40 years. Donald Trump was inevitable.
In other words, he's a product of his time. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we all are, aren't we? I mean, It's very hard for someone to defy their time. Both sides of the political spectrum forgot how to speak to this great heartland. And we can eulogize and romanticize this group of people, but they were fundamentally, as you've quoted there, the builders and makers of things who, after the Second World War, having liberated Europe from fascism, set about building the greatest economy in the history of the world. And somehow they got left by the wayside. As soon as the rest of the world caught up, often on the basis of American subvention and support, think of the European Union or Japan, within a generation, they were producing better motor cars than were being made in Detroit or Michigan. And you can see where that sense of we're owed something. We saved the world, and yet the world has come and has been rapacious in doing us down. No side, any of the post-Cold War presidents, none were able to quite articulate that discontent, and in fact compounded it through wars and great recessions. Donald Trump could, and that's his extraordinary political power.
I don't want to sort of add beyond where I think you want the scope of your analysis to go, but after World War II, I mean, the British were victorious at enormous cost. Yeah. But they also, one of the measures of cost was they lost their empire. So they won the war, but really Britain lost the peace. As you say, the Americans, through the Marshall Plan and others, poured money into Germany. The West German economy quickly became the fifth biggest in the world. The British slid down the ranks, continue to slide. Is it just the case, maybe, that what happened to Britain almost immediately after World War II has taken a lot longer to happen to the United States? But they now feel as though, as you say, this group of people, rightly or wrongly in the middle there, feel as though having won so many battles for freedom and democracy and everything around the world, in time they've lost the peace. Yes, it's a great analogy. And like all analogies, it's imperfect as well as quite telling. Certainly the obvious difference here, Michael, is that the scale of the American enterprise is just so much greater. Yes. And that the decline is going to be slower and in some ways more severe, but different to the one the British experienced. If you're in my area working in international relations and foreign policy, the basic question is the US in decline? And if you use the British example as a kind of template or model, there are some great warning signs there. The difference is America has, I mean, this is unusual in world history. Its competitors, particularly China, have a vested interest in the maintenance of American capitalism, in the maintenance of American success. All the toys that China produces in its factories have to be consumed by rotund American children. That market-producer relationship makes both. There is an interdependence here. And I would argue, I think, a key difference between the British imperial decline and the American is that there remains a very powerful market for American power. But people don't want to be outside this imperium. They don't want liberation from it. They want it to do more. What terrifies Canberra, and certainly terrifies Europe, is the withdrawal of American power, economic and particularly military, from their theatres. It's not overextension of power. This is not an empire that threatens through use of force. It threatens to not use force and power.
And that's an extraordinary thing to try and explain, and doesn't have an obvious comparison in world history.
True. Just before you go, I made comment earlier that perhaps one of the unexpected side effects of all this tariff stuff of late, but it compounds on some of the other decisions recently. They've been coming thick and fast, as you say, 100 executive orders in 40 days or something out of the White House, is that the conservative political campaigns and forces around the Western world, which looked set to topple a lot of existing left-wing governments, be it Canada, potentially Australia and elsewhere, now look as though they are going to lose because of the MAGA movement being in the ascendancy. There seems to be a sort of a flight back to incumbency in a lot of these Western jurisdictions that otherwise look set to go to the right. The tariff on beef, 10%, doesn't seem to be the real tariff. It's the Trump political tariff that is going to cost a lot of these people.
Yes, that's a fascinating political development, and not one I think that Trump is that worried about. But Canada is an instructive lesson here that 3 months ago, Canada was comfortably moving right after a decade of failed woke leftist policies. Yeah. And Trump has re-energized the left. Canadians are buying guns. They're becoming much more territorial. But I think that the real story here is how far we can expect only supplication from the rest of the world. The markets are pretty good at finding you out. I mean, I've mentioned Liz Truss on a couple of occasions. People may not remember her, the 45-day Prime Minister of the UK, who had, in relative terms, had an economic plan as radical as Donald Trump. And the markets found her out. She was basically fired because the global deep state, whatever your epithet is or label is, called a halt. Now, America and Trump's tariff war can go a lot longer because America is a quarter of GDP, but he will also come up against economic reality and the organisation of political power to match and to meet his economic war. And that's what I don't think he's thought through.
Time will tell. Fascinating insight, and congratulations on at least looking at it beyond the economics, because it is a layer of this cake that we do need to consume. Appreciate your time, and hopefully we can speak again soon, Timothy.
I look forward to it, Michael. Thanks very much.
My pleasure. Timothy Lynch, a Professor of Political Science at the University of Melbourne.
Hi, Leon Delaney. Today on Canberra Live, David Pocock calls for an investigation into ANU's alleged contempt of the Senate. Peter Dutton's approval ratings drastically plummet in latest opinion poll, and Australian mushrooms are now in space. Canberra Live from 3 on 2CC.
Harvey Norman, your destination for the new Samsung Galaxy A series. Purchase the new Samsung Galaxy A36 128GB for $0 up front when you connect to a new Optus $49 per month SIM-only plan for 24 months. Hurry, offer ends April 15. Minimum cost over 24 months is $1,176. Not available with other offers. In-store only. Cancellation fees, terms and conditions apply. Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer.
Really Hot Wood offer no-contact firewood, home delivery direct to your door, perfect size, stays dry, is easily moved and stored. Easy order online, wheeلیehotwood.com.au or call 1300 58 59 60.
Bernardo's is urgently seeking carers for Canberra's vulnerable children, including teens. There are around 800 children in out-of-home care in the ACT. That's one child in every classroom needing care and protection. But it only takes one caring adult to make a difference. Foster with Bernardo's for a weekend or a lifetime, and you could change a child's life forever. Have the heart to start and call 1300 We Foster or go to bernardos.org.au and become a foster carer.
This is Ian Meikle, editor of Canberra City News. I'm a professional and experienced journalist, and I couldn't be prouder of the stories and columns we publish every week in print and every day online. You can't go past it. City News, well written, well read.
Talking Canberra, 2CC, a Capital Radio Network station.
We're talking Canberra.
Play
wander far and wide when the perfect pair is just around the corner. Joe's Boots on Jardine Street, Kingston. Discover a world of comfort and style with new season boots, including Uggs, available all year round. Stocking top brands like Ariat, Birkenstock, Blundstone, Mongrel, Redback, Red Wing and RM Williams. Ladies, don't miss the chic Cabello collection. Step into Joe's Boots and step up your style. Conveniently located on Jardine Street in Kingston. Visit joesbootskingston.com.
As leaves descend and the chill embraces us, there's no need to face the cold alone. Bell Air Conditioning is here to enfold you in comfort and warmth. With energy costs soaring, their heat pump systems, backed by the ACT Sustainable Household Scheme, promise efficiency and economy. Call Bell Air Conditioning on 62 33 89 90 or online at bellair.com.au. Experience the snug serenity of your home while your savings grow. Bell Air Conditioning, your haven of heat in the heart of winter.
Hey, big spender, Sweet Charity is coming to the queue. Step back to the swinging 60s with this hilarious, heartfelt musical. With some of the best loved songs and most iconic dance numbers, Sweet Charity is on from 29 April to 18 May. Book now at theq.net.au.
More stimulating talk. Michael McLaren, thanks to Sears Workwear, Barrier Street Fish Week on 2CC.
Yeah, I agree with you, Susan, on the text. Timothy Lynch, very, very interesting. Spoken to him in the past. Just one of those people, I think, you could sit back for half an hour and just absorb what he's saying, and you don't have to agree, but it's fascinating nonetheless. Thank you for the feedback. Equally, thank you to all those texting in, read the GST. A number of people making the point that the GST is only applied on imports. It's a de facto tariff on imports, not exports. But considering the Americans, I don't think really send us much beef. We export a lot to them. So the reciprocity of what they're after there is it's a little bit missing in action, the logic. We've got the news coming up. Off the back of it, a few more details about this cyber attack that seems to have struck a lot of our super funds earlier today.
This news thanks to the Energy People. Winter's coming. Heat your home with Panasonic and the energypeople.com.au.
From the Capital Radio Network, 2CC News.
It's 19 degrees in Canberra. Clear skies overnight, getting down to 6. From the Capital Radio Newsroom, I'm Brent Ford. Several industry superannuation funds have been targeted by a coordinated cyber attack. Madeline McNeil reports.
Australian Retirement Trust, Australian Super, Host Plus, Rest and Insignia Financial's Expand platform are known to have been affected. The hackers have accessed tens of thousands of customers' passwords, likely through the dark web, and appear to be targeting retirees in the pension drawdown phase, which allows easier access to lump sum withdrawals. Australian Super is aware of at least 4 accounts which have had money taken from them, while Rest and Insignia have confirmed no financial impact on their members. The National Cyber Security Coordinator has been notified and is urging anyone who may be affected to follow the advice from their super fund.
Small business owners are being promised more tax help regardless of the election outcome, but the major parties are divided on the detail. Josh Bryant is travelling with the opposition leader.
Labor is promising to extend the instant asset tax write-off for another year, allowing small businesses and tradespeople to deduct $20,000 in essential purchases from the tax they pay. Anthony Albanese says it will make a big difference.
And what it can translate to is tools for tradies, coffee machines for a cafe, fridges and stovetops for a restaurant.
The coalition is promising to make the write-off permanent and allow businesses to claim $30,000 a year. Peter Dutton warning people shouldn't expect the policy to remain if Labor is re-elected.
Patch up a problem of their own making to get them through the election.
An ACT senator has backed calls to improve road safety on Canberra Avenue. Caitlin Lewis reports.
This comes after 2 teenage boys were hit by an allegedly stolen car last week.
St Edmunds and St Clair's colleges are lobbying to possibly get a timed 40km/h speed zone introduced near the schools, and Senator David Pocock agrees. Senator Pocock says insurance claims prove that Canberra Avenue is one of the most dangerous roads in the country, and said the ACT government's reason for not acting sooner to improve safety is a poor excuse. Former City Services Minister Chris Steele has previously said a 40km zone in that area was unlikely for Canberra Avenue because it was an arterial road. The man allegedly behind the wheel of the car that hit the boys is in custody and has been charged with multiple offences. Caitlin Lewis, Capital Radio News.
Drug kingpin Tony Mockbell has been granted bail after 18 years behind bars. The 59-year-old is appealing his sentences after his lawyer was found to be a police informant. His sister is offering $1 million surety, and Mockbell must wear a tracking device and live with her. Also making news, 2 men who are accused of smuggling firearms into the MCG won't be attending another AFL game. They've been handed lifetime bans.
Sports Update.
Kangaroos coach Mal Meninga is getting frustrated by the rules for international eligibility. He faces losing several players for this year's Ashes tour who are considering playing for Samoa at the Pacific Championships. Meninga says he believes players should now be committed to one nation.
You can't blame them if they've got that's their ancestral background, and there's a desire in the back of their hearts that they want to play for play for Tonga or Samoa or whoever, So but it's a bit frustrating from an Australian point of view.
The Raiders have bounced back from consecutive defeats to beat the Sharks 24-20 here in Canberra overnight, and tonight the Panthers host the Cowboys before the Rabbitohs reignite their rivalry with the Roosters. And that's the latest from the Capital Radio Newsroom.
2CC Weather, Australia's biggest ever golf sale under one roof. Pete's 45th birthday. Canberra's International Golf Centre, Narrabundah.
Clear skies overnight, getting down to 6. Tomorrow sunny and 23. Sunday sunny, also light winds and 21. And Monday partly cloudy and 23. Goulburn Powder Coating providing industrial, agricultural and domestic sandblasting to the ACT and Southern Tablelands. goulburnpowdercoating.com.au.
Canberra's news leader is 2CC. Canberra Live with Leon Delaney.
Administrative officials and the executives at the Canberra Health Service are not listening to the doctors on the front line. Nick Coatsworth has disputed that narrative. Former Independent Health Minister in the ACT, Dr. Michael Moore.
I think there's a lack of respect for the surgeons and what it is that they are trying to achieve. Rather, we've got a reform package and you're going to go our way. Not good enough.
Canberra Live with Leon Delaney. Weekday afternoons from 3 on 2CC.
Go Harvey Norman. $1 upsize deal on now. Choose a selected queen size mattress and for $1 more, upsize to a king. That's right, pay just $1 more to upsize from a queen to a king. Choose from a selected range of big brands, including Sealy Posturepedic, King Coil by AH Beard, Sleepmaker, Beauty Rest, and Temper. Hurry, $1 upsize deal on selected big brand mattresses ends Monday. Harvey Norman. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions and exclusions apply.
Just because I live in an older house doesn't mean I can't have all the modern conveniences. With PAC Kitchens and Joinery, I can have stylish and functional spaces in every room. Like a modern kitchen, a beautiful bathroom, practical space-saving built-in wardrobes, and efficient storage in my study. PAC Kitchens and Joinery have all their own trades, so coordinating my renovation is hassle-free. Visit their showroom at 86 Shepherd Street, Hume to see their displays, or visit packitchens.com.au.
Attention travellers, Bags to Go Fishwick's Luggage and Travel Mega Store is on sale now. Get ready to jet off in style with extra discounts across a huge range of handbags, luggage, duffel bags and travel accessories. We'll beat any advertised price on top brand luggage.
The sales are on right now at Bags to Go, but hurry, it's on for a limited time only. Save up to 50% on Samsonite while stocks last. Visit us now at bagstogo.com.au for fast free shipping. Conditions apply.
With Bags to Go and with price so low.
Explore the Old Bus Depot markets on Sundays for local artisan goods, including handcrafted wares, clothing, jewellery, fresh local produce and unique arts and crafts. Old Bus Depot markets, open this Sunday from 9:30 to 2:30. obdm.com.au.
This is Ian Meikle, editor of the leading news website citynews.com.au. Every day of every week, we keep Canberrans informed through our local reporting and nationally via the impeccable resources of Australian Associated Press. No paywalls, see for yourself.
Now on 2GB and network stations. Back to Afternoons with Michael McLaren.
All right, let's get into the second hour. 131873, the open line number. Sun's starting to poke its little head through out there in the west, looking nice again. We reported earlier by Mark on the morning's program, multiple large superannuation funds have been hit by a coordinated cyber attack. It's led to members losing money, we believe, and the Herald reporting their accounts have been accessed by a criminal enterprise. Now, industry super funds like Australian Retirement Trust, Australian Super, Host Plus, Rest, and the largest retail superannuation brand owner, Insignia, have all been subject to the attack. The scale of it, the scope is yet to be fully understood. However, listeners have told me off air that Australian Super's hotline doesn't seem to be working effectively. So some people have heard this and they've got, their super with Australian Super or whatever, and they've tried to phone up and say, well, look, am I included? What's happening? They can't get through or it's not working. So, look, I don't know. We've put a call into Australian Super and they're getting back to us. They're investigating whether it's simply an avalanche of demand or whether there is something wrong with the communication system. We'll find out for you if we can. But as the Herald reports, the hackers were able to access super fund passwords, most likely on the dark web. The funds have all been working with the National Cybersecurity Coordinator to assess the depth and the breadth of the problem. That is still taking place, I believe. There are fears that more customers of those funds and maybe even some other funds have been affected by this hack. The attacks mostly took place in the early hours of the morning, so that customers didn't see the password change alerts on their phone. It seems a lot of the people affected, those targeted, are those in pension drawdown phase. They can basically request lump sum withdrawals and this sort of thing. So they seem to have been specified here. The National Cyber Security Coordinator confirmed the attack after being contacted by the Herald this morning, saying that she was aware that cyber criminals are targeting individual account holders of a number of superannuation funds. So, look, I mean, digitisation has brought great benefits and productivity and the rest of it, but it does also bring with it its own concerns and potential problems. And as we go cashless, as we go paperless, as we go almost humanless in many respects, we do open ourselves up more and more to broad-scale hacks, losses, and inconveniences. And once upon a time, if you wanted to steal something, you sort of had to go mano up to the person and rob them, or go into the bank with the gun and hold it up. These days, you go online, you can hold up the equivalent of 1,000 branches with the click of a mouse. Same with identity theft and all the rest. Once upon a time, you had to go into some legal office or something and break open the safe or the file of fax or whatever it was and pull out the physical piece of paper. Now you do it online, and you can do 100,000 people in 1 minute. With benefits come potential detriments. I guess it's going to be the way of the future, isn't it? 131873. Well, 1:10. I was about to get a very large birthday cake ready today. Not for myself, but for my next guest. And I was going to send the team down to Woolies and say, right, clean them out of candles. I need 60 because a great Australian's about to turn 60. We then informed said great Australian that we would like to speak to him, and he was more than obliging because he's a gentleman and a very nice man and often says yes. And we said, and this is why. And he said, oh, look, I just want to point out one thing. I said, oh, what's that? You don't want any fasts? He said, no, I'm only turning 59. Okay. But hey, we should still talk anyway because 59's a milestone in many respects. The great Peter Overton is on the line. Hello, Peter.
G'day, Michael. Yes, but 2GB's always had me a year in front of my actual real birthday.
Now, hang on. Can we just clear this up? Because, you've been in the media longer than me. It is true there are a lot of people in the media that lie about their age and they pretend they're not quite as old as they are. Are you one of those, or is this legit? You are only 59 tomorrow?
I can absolutely assure you I was born on the 5th of April 1966 in Winchester in the UK, and I turn 59 tomorrow. And I'm happy to tell you I turn 60 next year.
All right, well, we'll have the same conversation next year, plus one candle. Look, firstly, congratulations on tomorrow. You'll be surrounded by family, and I think one of the things that people know you always say to me is that you're surrounded by an extraordinary family. That's testament to you and to your wife and of course, to your parents and everybody else.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, well, I've been brought up by two magnificent parents. Mum and Dad are 87 now, both of them, and they are the absolute light of our life, our North Star. I'm the eldest of four kids, and they are magnificent in their values and the way they've brought us up. And Dad was Professor of Paediatric Anaesthesia at the Children's Hospital at Camperdown, then out at Westmead for 40 years, and, he taught us great qualities about caring for other people and how to deal with other people, and certainly an enormous role model for all four Overton children. And Mum, Dad worked long hours, and Mum certainly ran the household so well too. So I hope they're listening, and they're great. And then, I'm married to Jessica, of course, for... When did we get married? I think it was 2004.
Don't get that one wrong, Peter. Jeez.
But you know what I do, Michael? I've got, in my study, I have a framed front page of the Daily Telegraph from the day after our wedding with this magnificent photo of Jessica and a photo of me fist pumping. And I always check the date every year on that front page to make sure I've got the anniversary correct.
That's a very, very good thing to have in the office. What's just for people? See, people know you through the television, and they feel like they know you, even if they haven't met you. It's just one of those strange phenomena, side effects of the role that you have. But what is a sort of an average day in the life of Peter Overton?
Well, I'm up and at 'em by 5:30. I'm on the Today Show. I've got the radio going. I've got Ben going in the kitchen as I get breakfast ready for the kids and coffee for Jessica and myself. I'm across the papers. Usually I'm actually reading the papers at 3 in the morning. I have a quick scan of what's going on, and I used to listen to you overnight, of course, when you're on that very tough shift. And then I'm usually at work 10:30, 11, or I'm doing work for Channel 9 outside, doing marketing or publicity or whatever. And then I sit on the big desk, as they say. We've got about 20 people around a big production desk, and I'm part of the team, and up and down all afternoon doing radio promos for 2GB, doing news breaks, doing all sorts of things until we're on air at 6 o'clock. So it's a busy day, a full day. And I've been at 9 for 35 years, and every day I love going to work, and I love the people I work with. I love my mentoring role. I love learning every day still from the younger people in the newsroom as well. Very much I love listening to them and how they help me with my tech.
Yeah, that's a good point. The mentoring role, you're now a mentor because you've been there, as you said, for 3.5 decades, which is amazing. But who were the mentors for Peter Overton going through?
Well, John Brennan, who was the king of radio. Breno took me on when I was 15 on work experience, so 40 years ago at 2UE, which was the 2GB of its time, the powerhouse station. Breno, and I owe so much to him, and he and I were, I'd have a cup of tea with him right up until he passed away, and was honoured to be a pallbearer at his funeral. Graham McNeice, the late Graham McNeice, gave me my first job in television after 2UE, and someone who, his godfather to our eldest daughter, and delivered a eulogy at Graham's funeral not that long ago. And another mentor, Brian Henderson, someone I kept in contact and had cups of tea with him until his passing, and delivered a eulogy at his funeral as well. People that are so important in my life, that have guided me and have been always there to be an ear, if you like, when I'd sought advice or they wanted to give me advice. And I think what I learnt, the importance of sticking with those people and keeping those friendships going long after their retirement, as I watch my father, who, as I said, is now 87, and the young doctors that he has brought through are still in contact with Dad, and I know what that means to him. And Dad was one of 3 doctors that introduced the paramedic service in New South Wales, and paramedics to this day will stop and say, "G'day, Pete, how are you? Please send my very, very best to your father. He was a legend." And I think that's values that Dad's instilled in me, and I've seen from people. So that's why those mentors were absolutely so important in my life, and to this day, even though they've passed, are so important. I rely on them as touchstones when I need to just think about what they would have said.
You're speaking about the big desk and Brian Henderson, of course. The thing with Brian Henderson, which as a young man watching the news, because we always watch 9 at home, Hendo told us so, right? Brian told us so. The thing was that it didn't matter what he said, you believed him. Now, I don't know how that magic happened. But, you could have had a thunderstorm outside and Hendo would be reading 6 o'clock news and say, you know what, it's 22 degrees and sunny. You'd believe him instead of what you're right. Yeah, I mean, it was just true, right? He had this inherent ability to tell you something down the lens of the camera and to have that then beamed into a lounge room and it to be true, to be fact, unquestionable. You've got that as well. How do you do it? Because that's the art form of the newsread. Is there a trick to the trade?
No, I don't think there is a trick to the trade. I think it's just being true to who you are. And if I met you in the pub, the Savo, I'm the same bloke that you'd meet on the telly coming into your lounge room. That's the way I think about it very much. But I think the key is in news and in being a news presenter, it's longevity in the job. It's building up the experience and it's building up the trust. And I think you build a relationship with your audience. And I've been in the news chair now. This is my 17th year, and we've been number one for the last 14 years in Sydney, and that was based around, I think, just longevity, Michael. And I watched Hendo growing up like you did, and I can still remember sitting around the table at home and watching him at 6 o'clock. And then I remember the first day I met him at Channel 9 on the 1st of September 1991 when I walked in the door and I said, "Hello, Mr. Henderson, I'm Peter." And he said, "I know who you are, and you can call me Brian." And I thought, this is fascinating. This is weird. I've watched him on the telly for so long, and now I'm talking to him. And then I got to sit next to him once a week when I read the sports segment when the wonderful Ken Sutcliffe had his day off. So, yes, I think it's longevity. I think it's trust with your audience, experience, and being true to who you are. And I think the audience knows if they can pick someone who is an imposter, if you like, and
yes, that's the point, isn't it?
You are.
You got to be yourself. You got to be yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
All the stories over the years, my goodness, there'd be 100,000 of them and counting. But what are the few that have really stuck with you?
Well, in the decade or so I had at 60 Minutes, travelling the world, I think the stories that I'm often asked this question, and the late Chris O'Brien, Professor Chris O'Brien, the head and neck surgeon who had the brain tumour, his impact on our community, and I did his story from his diagnosis to his death. The mental health stories I did at 60 Minutes, Jessica, my wife, has had a huge role in trying to destigmatise mental illness, and I certainly learned a lot about that when I met Jessica all those years ago. And so my late executive producer there, John Westacott, used to allow me to do a story on mental health most years, and we do youth suicide. Or I interviewed Jessica and her mother about bipolar disorder, which her mum has, and so on. So those were stories that I know that had an impact, because I'd be anywhere in the world and an Australian would come up to me and say, in an airport, whether at Heathrow or France, wherever, and say, "Peter, thanks for doing that story on youth suicide or on bipolar, because that's my mother, my brother, my sister, my uncle, my grandfather, my aunt," and that I knew that had an effect. And another important story I think I did at 60 certainly was youth cancer, and we travelled the world and looked at how they cared for young people with cancer. I'm not talking children and I'm not talking adults. I'm talking that sort of 15 to 24 age group, which is called the Forgotten Generation. And that story prompted the Sony Foundation to establish You Can, where we've built youth cancer centres around Australia, which now care for that forgotten generation. And I'm an ambassador for them very proudly. So that's another story that had an impact. I think in my back in the newsroom, the stories that I'll never forget are COVID, reporting COVID for all that time, and the thirst for information and the importance of being an information provider in our nightly news, and always offering a little bit of hope every night as well, because I thought that was really important. So that was a bit of a mantra we had in the newsroom. So that's a selection of stories that I think that have had an impact on me.
Yeah, certainly not an exhaustive list, I know. Before you go, I spoke earlier about Trump, because, how can you escape him in the newsroom? But I made the comment, and you might have an answer, because I couldn't think of an example of someone in the history of modern media that has been able to dominate as many headlines day after day, night after night, without a break as Donald J. Trump. I mean, can you think of someone who's been more omnipresent, more of a sort of a black hole, as it were, just sucking everybody into his orbit than Donald Trump?
I can't think of anyone. I can't. I'm like you. I think every night, we will often base one of our Los Angeles-based reporters. We'll send them to the East Coast because it is such. Trump is a story that gives you every day, and it's not just for your 6 o'clock news. It's for Today's Show. It's for your morning news. It's for your afternoon news. It's for your 6 o'clock news. So I think you're right. I can't think of anyone in the modern era that has dominated the headlines, the news cycle as President Trump.
Well, Peter, on behalf of all of us, happy birthday for tomorrow. I hope they only put 59 candles on the cake and they're not reading Jock's Journal. And I hope the breakfast coffee's just that extra bit special for you, surrounded by your loved ones. You deserve it. And on behalf of all of us, thank you for what you've done.
Oh, well, thank you, Michael. I've really enjoyed the chat, and thank you for ringing, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Ditto. Thank you. The wonderful Peter Overton, who I stress only turns 59 tomorrow.
2CC is Canberra's news leader.
Anthony Albanese's now visited all 6 state capitals as he travels the country, making his pitch to voters.
When local news breaks.
The occupant of a house in Greenway suffered minor ricochet injuries when a gun was fired.
And world news impacts.
President Donald Trump has announced a regime of what he calls retaliatory tariffs on friends and foes.
When you need to know. Canberra's news leader is 2CC.
Domain Fish Week's floor stock clearance is on now. Great deals on X-Display, Scratch and Dent and run-out models from all the biggest brands. Get up to a huge 60% off X-Display cooking appliances, up to 40% off run-out robotic vacuum cleaners, and a massive clearance on bar fridges starting from just $99. Prices reduced on clearance TVs, washing machines, kitchen and small appliances, as well as fridges. Domain Fish Week's floor stock clearance, 80 Collie Street Fish Week. Must end Sunday the 13th.
Craving the sizzle? Philly's Chicken by Carabao Takeaway has hatched next door. Treat the kids after school at Philly's Chicken. Enjoy happy hour Monday to Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Get fried chicken for just $1.45 per piece and soft serve cones for only 99 cents. Tasty deals await. Conditions apply. Whether delivery, pick up or dine in, Philly's Chicken is your new go-to for flavour-packed chicken. Philly's Chicken, now open from 10:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily.
These few seconds of sanity are brought to you by Canberra Walk and Avery. Film, feed, or just lose yourself amongst the 60 species of birds in their 1,000 square metres of sanctuary. Book online at canberrawalkandAvery.com.au. Canberra Walk and Avery, Gold Creek Village, Nichols. Beautiful noise. Beautiful noise.
Janine Florist, serving Canberra for over 65 years, helping you with a perfect gift. Whether it's a birthday, a thank you, or sending love during tough times, Janine Florist has the perfect arrangement, delivering 7 days a week all over Canberra so you can make someone smile anytime. Order before 2 p.m. for same-day delivery. Visit their store Monday to Saturday in Bailey's Corner Civic. Order online at janineflorist.com.au or just give them a ring. Janine Florist, where every bouquet tells a story. janineflorist.com.au. Monero Windows is a local family-owned business that's been servicing the Canberra region for over 30 years. We specialise in windows and doors that are stylish and made locally, as well as energy efficient and designed for the Canberra climate. If you're building a new home, renovating, or looking to replace your existing windows with new double-glazed panes, visit us at our Mitchell or Queanbeyan showrooms today, or go to monerowindows.com.au. That's monerowindows.com.au.
Michael McLaren, thanks to Sears Workwear, Barrier Street Fish Week. Call 131 873 on 2CC.
Great to be with you. It's 26 past 1.
2GB Sounds of the Show.
Okay, now, as you know, we're giving you the chance to win 4 tickets to the Sydney Royal Easter Show with 2GB Sounds of the Show. People just love this, I know. Later in the program, listen out for this sound. Mr. Ed. Mr. Ed. So listen out for the horse later in the program. Shall we hear that again, Francis? I think. Let's have it again. Come on. There it is. Number 3 at the 5th at Randwick. And when you hear that later in the show, I want you to be caller number 10 today, the 10th caller on the prize line, 1300 722 873, and lucky number 10, you'll be off to the Sydney Royal Easter Show with yourself and 3 other tickets in your pocket, okay? So wait to hear the horses later in the program. There could be at any point between now and 3 o'clock. And when you hear them, straight to that prize line, 1300 722 873, caller 10, and the prize will be yours. Stacks of text coming through. A lot of people simply wishing Peter Overton a happy birthday, and thank you for those. Pass them on to Pete. We were speaking earlier about the 20-somethings living at home. Rick says, until last year, we had Mr. 29, Miss 25 and Mr. 21 all under our roof, and most nights they're partners. We don't charge them, he said. Last year, Mr. 29 bought a home with his partner. Miss 25 has a deposit now for a home, is actively house hunting. All of that would not be possible if we charged them the rent. Yeah, it's true. That's true. It's just the way of the world now, isn't it? Draz was saying, look, all this stuff about the kids living at home, he says, well, that's normal if you, well, I quote him here, he says, it's normal arrangement for a WOG family, so nothing changes for us. That's from Draz. That's probably true as well. And you probably got grandma there as well. Xavier says, I'm on social media, and I'm 22. He said, most of those my age, from the comments I see anyway, are supporting Albanese, and overwhelmingly. Now, that's following a text I had earlier from someone who said, look, I've been asking people, and I was at the hospital the other day, and people were talking. No one was saying they'd be voting for Albo. And so Xavier says, okay, well, that might be right, but in my age group, my category, look at the comments on social media, on the news posts, and this is where people get their news at that generation. He said, overwhelmingly, they're supporting Albo. So we could be seeing a bit of a generational divide coming through in the election result in the weeks ahead. Just speaking of the Prime Minister, and I made comment the other day in an editorial about the business lobby, saying that their words to the effect they've been about as powerful and potent as a eunuch at this campaign when it comes to prosecuting the case for themselves and for the coalition, which is their political ally. You know, years gone by, the business community and the mining and all the other big commercial-oriented lobbies, you know, the anti-unionist lobbies, basically, they would tip in some pretty good coin. They would run campaigns encouraging people to vote for the coalition, and that would supplement the coalition's own advertising spend to try to get the message across. Well, look, I don't watch every minute of every day of the news, but I haven't seen too much advertising thus far from the Business Council or the ACCI or the mining lobby or anybody saying, you know, sort of surreptitiously vote Liberal or vote National. Because it would be in their best interest if people did it. Look at the track record the last 3 years. The unions have even admitted it themselves. Their wish list has been Labor's command. You would think, and they're on the record, they want this change, that change, they want to get rid of this right to disconnect and the push toward work from home and same pay, same job, same pay laws. They want to go back to the old definition of a casual. They want the building watchdog, the ABCC, reinstated. They want all of this, and most of it the coalition are willing to do. But they're not advertising, they're not spending the money to put the message forward. Well, not that I can see. If they are, please correct me. Now, maybe this story will encourage them. David Marin Guzman, who writes for The Fin, always on union-related matters, says, and this was just yesterday, the Albanese government's call for an above-inflation increase to the minimum wage for 3 million workers has emboldened unions to apply for a 4.5% rise, almost double the rate of inflation, and despite flatlining productivity. So the unions and their political wing, the Labor Party, want above-inflation pay rises to come via the Fair Work Commission's annual wage review. Now, the business community don't want it. I think they want 2.4% or 2.5%. The unions want 4.5%. If the coalition win, they will not be putting in a submission to the Fair Work Commission saying make it 4.5%. They'll be much closer to the 2 in a bit. But are the business community helping the coalition get over the line? Or are they running dead, like they've run dead the last 3 years? Getting more into bed with the culture wars of the left than the economic wars that they should be fighting on the right. You might want to comment on that. 131873. Let's get all the news. Erin Marr, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Michael. Several superannuation funds have been targeted by cyber criminals who have used stolen passwords to access accounts. The AFL Fans Association says it's waiting for an explanation from the Sporting Code on how two men were allegedly able to get into the MCG carrying guns. Environmental measures like return and earn schemes are helping reduce the amount of plastic ending up in our waterways, with a 39% increase over the past decade, decrease in waste over the past decade. And South Korea's Constitutional Court has removed impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol from office. In sport, a fencer has been disqualified from a women's competition in the US after refusing to compete against a transgender opponent. Stephanie Turner took a knee in protest before her bout. She was shown a black card and informed she would not be allowed to continue in the tournament. And there'll be more news at 2 o'clock.
On afternoons, a weather update.
We'll be here to help in unexpected weather. NRMA Insurance, a help company.
OK, well, the Bureau says a possible shower today, and looking out to the west, I can see why. If it does come, it'll be 1 mil of rain. 26 in the city, 27 for Penrith. It should be dry, though, in the west, so if the rain comes, it'll be close to the coast. Bondi might get a little. Top at 24. Parramatta today, 25. Now, sunny tomorrow and 25, which is pretty much as good as it gets. And then on Sunday, if you like it a little warmer, OK, 27 and sunny for you. Canberra today, partly cloudy and 23, sunny and 23 tomorrow, sunny but just 21 on Sunday in the capital. And for Lithgow, sunny and 22 today, 26 for Mudgee, Bathurst 24, Orange 21. How nice is Orange? Such a nice town. 25 at Springwood, a little cloud, but mainly sunny. And Katoomba, sunny and 21. Sunny tomorrow for Lithgow and 20, and the sun will keep shining on Sunday. Lithgow, that is, 20 degrees the top. 131873. We'll take a break. When we come back, the real estate show.
Hi, Leon Delaney. Today on Canberra Live, David Pocock calls for an investigation into ANU's alleged contempt of the Senate. Peter Dutton's approval ratings drastically plummet in latest opinion poll, and Australian mushrooms are now in space. Canberra Live from 3 on 2CC.
Are you ready to vote? The federal election has been announced. If you've recently changed your name or address, turned 18 or become an Australian citizen, you must update your enrolment details or enrol to vote before 8 p.m. on Monday, 7th of April. Head to aec.gov.au or pick up an enrolment form at any AEC office and return it to the AEC before 8 p.m. on Monday, 7th of April. Your vote will help shape Australia. Authorised by the Electoral Commissioner, Canberra.
Amber presents the case for living better, indoors and out.
For me, it's the indoors, definitely. We do so much of our living here.
All our best living's done outdoors, no question.
Getting your tiles right can really help transform your indoor spaces and the way you live.
Once you've got your new outdoor pavers, it all works together so well.
Indoors.
Outdoors.
For the latest styles in quality tiles, pavers and stone, indoors and out.
Only one place.
Brings it all together.
Chop chop. For discount quality firewood from kindling to large cuts, call Sapphire Coast Firewood. 1-800-4-FIREWOOD. Drive in, load up, drive off. It's easy to get quality firewood at discount prices with Sapphire Coast Firewood. 1-800-4-FIREWOOD. With a certified weighbridge, yard sales and a delivery sales for box and red gum, chop chop to Sapphire Coast Firewood. 1-800-4-FIREWOOD. Drive in, load up, drive off at 35 Kendall Avenue, Queanbeyan.
Talking Canberra, 2CC, a Capital Radio Network station.
We're talking Canberra.
With What's Needed Electrical, you get fast, reliable, affordable service even in emergencies. Specialising in domestic, commercial and industrial work, they offer obligation-free quotes and over 40 years of combined expertise. From installation to split system air conditioning, lighting, switchboard upgrades, power points, ceiling fans and so much more. Stay powered up with What's Needed Electrical. Family owned and run since 2017. Visit whatsneeded.com.au. That's WATTSneeded.com.au.
The deals are getting hotter and hotter at Open Mobility.
Hurry in for superb deals now. Get hot deals on selected lift chairs, scooters, bed packages, and popular products such as the Uccello tipping kettle. Check out the hot deals online or in-store today. Discover the open mobility difference with free delivery, free setup and demonstration, and the 5% price guarantee on everything. Open Mobility's hot deals are on now. Opposite the post offices in Belconnen and Tuggeranong.
If your car or boat is a bit... that's not good. Don't panic. Just take it to Tez Automotive and they'll get you going. For service, mechanical repairs, or that something extra your car or boat needs, Tez Automotive will do it all. Plus a complimentary wash.
For your car, mate.
Oh, yeah, and a courtesy car too. Tez Automotive. Honesty, integrity, and great service behind the Caltex station at the airport or at our new marine shop, 53 Yass Road, Queanbeyan. tezauto.com.au.
This is Ian Meikle, editor of Canberra City News. If you want to know what's what and why, don't miss our top columnists and writers every week in print and every day online. City News, well written, well read, and I reckon well edited too.
Call 131 873. Michael McLaren, thanks to Sears Workwear, Barrier Street, Fishwick, on 2CC.
Our house in the middle of our street.
And now, the Real Estate Show, thanks to Domain, Australia's trusted property marketplace.
Okay, here we go. It is a Friday afternoon. Let's look at real estate. And, of course, we do that with the wonderful Alice Stoltz from Domain. Each week we take a look at, of course, among the whole situation with auctions and some tips and traps and the rest of it. We also look at some of your properties in and around Sydney. We go over the weekend auctions, as I said. We cover all the big real estate news. And if you want a property valued, just get in touch. And we'll give the details over to Domain. They'll crunch the numbers with their supercomputers behind the scenes, and we'll get you on when we can fit you on a Friday, and we'll talk about your property. Give you the range that it may well be worth. Now, just in regard to that, these figures are estimates only, of course, and we've got to emphasise that the estimates are made without any first-hand inspections of the properties or their interiors. If anyone listening wants an appraisal of their home, they should, of course, make their own independent inquiries through accredited independent valuers. 131873. Alice Stoltz, as I said, the National Property Editor at Domain, with us. Hello, Alice.
Hello, Michael. Great to be here.
And with you too. We've got an election, and so as you suggested last week, that does mean that a bit of the heat can come out of the market, right?
That's right, indeed. But look, listing volumes are still actually quite good at the moment, and I think this weekend and next weekend is kind of going to be the last hurrah before that sort of lovely sort of early autumn hiatus is going to set in, school holidays, and people will sort of think about doing other things for a little while. But look, this weekend in Sydney we've got 940 auctions taking place, so still quite good numbers as we head into that next sort of wave of school holidays.
Yeah, okay, so what was it over the week? 1,400 or so auctions, I think, Sydney?
I'm very impressed with your memory there, Michael. It was indeed. It was, the clearance rate came in at 65%. Okay. Now, that's a very solid result still, and I'm reading some things that people are saying that it is softening a little bit, but under that many auctions, I still think it's still quite encouraging, and it'll be interesting this weekend after the RBA held rates, but I think we'll still feel a bit of the buoyancy in the market from the interest rate cut last month. We'll still manage to kind of make people feel quite good when it comes to bidding.
All right, now let's catch up with one of our listeners at Brady Place, Harrington Park. Dom's on the line. G'day there, Dom.
G'day, Michael and Alice.
Hello, Dom.
Now, Harrington Park, we're heading down toward Narellan, Gregory Hills, that part of southwest Sydney. Tell us a bit about the property, Dom.
So it's almost 1,200 squares, 1169 square metre block. It's a single-storey split level with 4 bedrooms, a walk-in robe, main walk-in robe the size of a bedroom, thanks to my wife.
Wow.
I've got side access. I live in a cul-de-sac, and I've got a nature reserve behind me with a gate where I can go for nature walks. And yeah, at least fit 6 cars on the driveway to park.
Well, it sounds lovely,
Wow.
Dom. What's the age of the house, Dom? Is it an old house, or was it built fairly recently?
About 10 years old.
Okay, and have you done much works to it other than making that walk-in robe for your wife, which sounds like you were very, very generous in the size of that one?
No, basically just the side access, concrete all the way around, so about 3 metres and then 4.5 metres at the back. And I do have an alfresco with a homemade pizza oven that me and my father made.
Oh. God, well, it sounds like you're sitting on a lovely little house there, Dom, I've got to say. You know what's really interesting here? I was looking at the house price data in Harrington Park, and there isn't that much data available. So we can still have a generalist figure, but what that does tell me also is that it's quite a tightly held area, which obviously is a good thing to know if you're thinking about selling, understanding that there might not be that much supply on the market there. So that was just an interesting insight, I thought, Dom. But look, price-wise, we're looking at around, I think, 1.35 at the lower end. That goes all the way up to about 1.77 in terms of the value of that property. And that's based on the land size and what sounds like a fairly sizable house. So if you wanted to sort of put that in the middle, I reckon we're looking at about 1.56 million. And I also found a house nearby on Chakra Drive. I don't know if that's near you, Dom, but that recently sold. That's 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2 car, a lot less car spots than you, clearly. And that one sold just in March for 1.25 million. So that's kind of at the lower end of that price range that I just mentioned to you there. So I think that's kind of a good ballpark for you to bear in mind for the moment.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it, you looking into it, and thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, and enjoy that lovely house, Dom.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. Thank you, Dominic. That's pretty good too. How many? 6 cars on the driveway.
6 cars. I love that. It's so Aussie, isn't it? He's probably got kids living at home and everybody's bringing a friend around, so probably gets pretty full.
But that's the thing, a good amount of space, right? In some of these places in the sort of the outskirts of the Sydney suburban sprawl, you can get a reasonable block size and have a very good quality of life.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like a castle, doesn't it? That idea of, you can really make it everything that you want that suits your lifestyle and your needs.
Absolutely. Okay, Alice Stoltz here from Domain, 131873. And I just remind you, if you want a property valued, get in touch and we'll put you in touch with Domain. We'll do all the work behind the scenes. We'll get you on like we did there with Dom, and we'll talk about the property on air. Now, Alice, what we'll do, we'll clear a break. We'll come back. We're going to speak to a bit of an expert in the housing game, certainly when it comes to renovation, some of the tips and the traps for young players, that sort of thing. So we'll do that with Alice and our guest straight after this.
Canberra weekends start with the Garden Gurus.
Trampolini pumpkin, most interesting. Don't know that I'll be bothering.
The Canberra Weekender.
The political battleground has been on issues where Labor isn't traditionally strong.
And the continuous call team.
I got a bigger eyeful than the spectators got when that French bloke knocked over the bar in the pole vault. The game of inches, breeding.
Canberra's best weekends are on 2CC.
Your local LDV dealer has a powerful new T60 Max Ute waiting for you. Right now, get the 160 kilowatt T60 Max Pro Auto backed by a 7-year warranty and get a massive saving of $4,000 off. Now from just $36,990 drive away for ABN holders. But hurry, there's limited stock available and this offer won't last long. Visit a dealer today. LDV. Bring it on. New stock vehicles only, excluding MY25 and plus models. T's and C's at ldvautomotive.com.au.
Ah, now that's a good coffee. You going to tell me your secret?
Well, we use good coffee, of course, but what guarantees the flavour is we clean our machine every night using Cafetto Commercial Coffee Machine Cleaner. Our grinder gets clean as well. And sanitising the milk frother is a must. Removing all the stale residues ensures a full-bodied flavour all the time.
Cool. Can I get another one?
Of course. Get your Cafetto coffee cleaning products only at The Cleaning Warehouse. thecleaningwarehouse.com.au.
Why wander far and wide when the perfect pair is just around the corner? Joe's Boots on Jardine Street, Kingston. Discover a world of comfort and style with new season boots, including Uggs, available all year round. Stocking top brands like Ariat, Birkenstock, Blundstone, Mongrel, Redback, Red Wing and RM Williams. Ladies, don't miss the chic Cavello collection. Step into Joe's Boots and step up your style. Conveniently located on Jardine Street in Kingston. Visit joesbootskingston.com.
Western Cruise and Travel, it's time to see the world.
Ready for your next travel adventure? Western Cruise and Travel, your ACT travel professionals, have an award-winning team with over 50 years of experience ready to help. Call us on 0262 884400, find us on Facebook or visit us in store. Western Cruise and Travel, proudly part of the Chris Watson Travel Group. Start ticking dreams off your bucket list today.
Your pet is more than just a member of your family. Pause to remember. When it comes time to say goodbye to your faithful friend, pause to remember guaranteed private pet cremation done with love. Biocremation, a gentle and environmentally friendly way to honour the memory of your pet. contact pausetoremember.com.au or call Kathy on 0414 107 355. Pause to Remember Pet Cremations, because our hearts break too.
Call 131 873. Michael McLaren, thanks to Sears Workwear, Barrier Street, Fishwick, on 2CC.
Just before we get back to real estate, a number of people still getting in touch to read this situation with the super funds. A lot of people very concerned about Australian super. They're trying to get in touch with Australian super to see if their account's all good and the rest of it, and they just can't get through. Ken's the latest to write to me to say they are uncontactable. The phone rings once and then it just drops out. He said, my partner and I are unable to sign into our accounts. Ken, we've put in a call to Australian super. We're still waiting to hear back from them about what is going on. It's either simply it's crashing under the demand of concerned people, or there's something wrong with the system. As soon as we find out, Ken, we'll let you know. We'll let everybody know, because at times like this is when you need to be able to get in touch to be reassured. 131873. Okay, back to the world of real estate. Of course, we've got Alice here from Domain. Alice, let's bring in our guest here, Kurt Hegschwaller. Now, Kurt is the founder of a group called Builders Coach, and I think most people in the real estate game know that building and renovating can cost a pretty penny these days. The prices have gone through the roof. So we thought we'd have a chat about how to do it in the most cost-effective way. Kurt, welcome to the program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, Michael. Great to be here.
Okay, so you're with that group Builders Coach. What do you do?
Yes. So I help builders run a more professional business. Most builders know how to build, but they're not so clued up on how to, organise their systems, processes, and just run a more professional outfit.
Okay, now the average renovation cost, it's hard to get an average because properties are all different sizes and in different places, but let's say you got a 4-bedroom house and you want to renovate it as opposed to extend it. You're going to do a few bathrooms, you've got to do a bit of this, a bit of that inside. I mean, what sort of money are people now looking at?
It's a bit of how long is a piece of string question that. But to give you an idea, like if you had $1 million to spend back in January 21, say, to do a renovation, you'd need $1.5 million to do the same work today.
In 4 years, it's gone up that much?
It actually went up that much in 3 years. So 53% increase, It's been the biggest jump in 20 years.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? And it's similar when it comes to building a house from scratch. It used to be around $320,000 in January 2021, and now it's just under $500,000 as well, Michael. And that's actually building a whole house from scratch. So it's similar whether you're renovating or starting with very blank canvas.
I suppose, Kurt, one of the problems is that we see this from a lot of builders, and no doubt they're the ones talking to you, are the ones that go in with a fixed price contract and then inflation runs away like crazy. They have to complete the build because of the contract, but they go broke in the process, right?
Absolutely. That's the exact reason a lot of the bigger guys went under. There's also, delays in building approvals. Material costs went up. That's sort of stabilising now, but, wage costs, the lack of workers as well, and then changes to land taxes. And most people think builders make a lot of money. They don't, but they've been forced to pass, these increases on to people. So it's been tough going. But, a lot of those guys that got into fixed price contracts and they locked them in, and then because of the delays with permits and approvals, by the time they got started and then finished, they were underwater.
Okay, what's driving these prices up as crazy as you've suggested they are? What are the driving factors here?
Definitely, there was the surge in building during the pandemic that had an impact, and then also, just with materials, being able to access materials that had a massive impact, but labour costs as well, huge. Like if you look at, stats from 2023, there were 42,000 new apprentices coming into the industry, which was 25% down on the previous year. And, the ABS data is not finalised yet for 24-25, but it's on the same trajectory, possibly 5 to 10% worse. So we just don't have enough people coming into the industry, And then obviously immigration as well has had an impact.
As in what? Immigration, obviously people aren't coming in with the skills to be brickies and plumbers and the like from what you're saying, but they are coming in and they need to live somewhere. So there's your supply-demand mix.
Yeah, exactly. So, they're not bringing in enough people in the trades, but also, immigration is driving the housing crisis, right? Like people need somewhere to live, and there's not enough houses.
Alice, what do you want to ask Kurt?
One question I would love to ask, Kurt, having the luxury of your knowledge here, is I love this idea about thinking of a renovation cost by square metre. Now, I know many builders are really reluctant to do it, but the rule of thumb I've always been told is that it used to be, pre-COVID, around $3,000 to $3,500 per square metre, and that number has now gone up to around $4,500 per square metre. I want to know, is that kind of an accurate ballpark? And second of all, it is quite a useful sort of idea to think about when you're trying to understand the cost of renovating, isn't it?
It's so difficult to get accurate numbers with a renovation, right? With any construction, for that matter, and most people are completely unaware of that. So square metre rates is actually the last way that we recommend builders do a quote. You can get a rough ballpark figure using square metre rates, but if you want to do an accurate quote, you need to slow it down, take the time to find out the cost of the materials, the labour, the subcontractors, and then also like the hourly rates of the carpenters and the supervision and the project managers as well. So the builders that we work with, getting the numbers right is crucial because of the price shock that everyone's experiencing. So we get them to work with quality estimators to get the numbers right, and then they usually charge a nominal fee for that. So that's a good way to find a builder who actually knows how to get the numbers right. Because most of them can't.
Interesting. Just before you go, Kurt, just finally, one thing I learned from builders, and builders listening to us now might want to add to this after the news on the open line, but it's not the building that always makes them financially come unstuck. It's the time and effort they dedicate to free quotes. Knowing that the vast majority of people will not then go on and take the job. And so, if you're operating in this environment where the prices are going up exponentially because of inflation, you've got to put together a very careful quote. You can't just rush it on a sort of a rule of thumb per square metre basis, right? There's got to be a lot of time and effort taken. Well, that's, of course, time you're not on the site, you're not on the tools, you're not being productive, making money on a job. And then, of course, if person after person says thanks for that, but no thanks, you can go broke pretty quickly.
Absolutely. You just hit the nail on the head there, Michael. 80% of free quotes are not worth the paper they're written on, so make sure they do a proper job. But the other important thing for anyone listening, and this is really, like I'm sounding the alarm here, you've got to get the builder involved as early on in the pre-construction process as possible. It's called ECI, and there's actually a term for it now. It's been spearheaded in Australia and New Zealand, early contractor involvement or early builder involvement, because they can offer their expertise in terms of materials, like understanding of costs, the subcontractors and build process to help align people's budgets with what they eventually spend.
Good on you, Kurt. Great to speak. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I think people learned a bit there. Thank you. All the best.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
All the best. Kurt Heggett-Schwaller there, as I said, founder of Builders Coach, and that figure there, the ECI. Bear that in mind. Hey, before you go, Alice, the bargain of the week. We're off to Rose Hill for this one, aren't we?
Rose Hill's a great little area, isn't it, Michael? And then we saw a unit there sell last week at the most affordable sale, last weekend in Sydney. It was 2-bed, 1 bath, $502,000 it sold. Now, this is not just any unit. It's got 2 bedrooms. It's also got a standalone laundry, and I'm sure people are thinking, and who cares, big deal. But that makes a big difference if you're not having to have a dual-purpose bathroom or kitchen with that sort of Euro-style laundry. Yeah. It also has a balcony and quite spacious living areas, but it also has a lock-up garage. Now, I love this idea that you can always then potentially, as we've talked about in the past, siphon that off, rent it out on the side to someone, potentially, or you can use it yourself. But it's just another surplus area that you can obviously put storage and stuff like that. And this unit's really well located near schools and not too far from the train station, Harris Park Station.
Yeah, and increasingly becoming better connected because of light rail and the rest, Rose Hill. So,
yep.
Okay.
Hey, Michael, can I just tell you about a little reno hack that I love that I think everybody should know about?
Yeah, quickly,
you can basically get IKEA carcasses, etc., and then you can actually get companies that will then put on a sort of a nicer, smarter facade on those cupboards and door handles and that. So some people will just Google like IKEA workarounds, whatever, you'll find there's lots of companies that do it. But another great way of doing cost saving behind the scenes and actually having sort of more, swish-looking facades when you're doing your kitchens and your bathrooms and stuff like that.
It's a great little tip. All right, we'll get more of those next week, Alice. I'll take notes. All the best. Thanks for your time, and we'll catch you next week on The Real Estate Show.
Thank you, Michael.
Alice Stoltz there from Domain.
Hi, Leon Delaney. Today on Canberra Live, David Pocock calls for an investigation into ANU's alleged contempt of the Senate. Peter Dutton's approval ratings drastically plummet in latest opinion poll, and Australian mushrooms are now in space. Canberra Live from 3 on 2CC.
Now at Harvey Norman, 15% off selected AEG laundry appliances and 30% off selected AEG laundry appliance packages. Upgrade to premium AEG laundry appliances with this hot offer. 15% off selected AEG washing machines, 15% off selected AEG dryers. Or a massive 30% off when you buy a selected AEG washer and dryer in the same transaction. Experience the premium AEG laundry range with this amazing offer. Now at Harvey Norman. Limited time. Conditions and exclusions apply.
Attention travellers, Bags to Go Fishwick's Luggage and Travel Mega Store is on sale now. Get ready to jet off in style with extra discounts across a huge range of handbags, luggage, duffel bags and travel accessories. We'll beat any advertised price on top brand luggage.
The sales are on right now at Bags to Go, but hurry, it's on for a limited time only. Save up to 50% on Samsonite while stocks last. Visit us now at bagstogo.com.au for fast free shipping. Conditions apply.
With Bags to Go and with price so low.
Seize the moment and make your dream Mazda a reality. At Philip Mazda, find exceptional value across the range. Mazda 3, Mazda 6, CX3, CX5, CX8 and CX9. Looking for a ute? Dual cabs and traybacks, manual and auto available. All models come with Mazda's 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty and 5 years roadside assist. Your moment is now. Philip Mazda, Melrose Drive, Phillip, or online at philipmazda.com.au.
Talking Canberra, 2CC, a Capital Radio Network station.
We're talking Canberra.
Wheelie Hot Wood offer no-contact firewood, home delivery direct to your door, perfect size, stays dry, is easily moved and stored. Easy order online, wheeliehotwood.com.au or call 1300 58 59 60.
If you've been physically or psychologically injured because of medical negligence, you deserve better. Like compensation that gives you security, justice, and the freedom to live life the way you should. That's why the team at Malaganas Edwards Johnson, Canberra's most trusted personal injury lawyers, believe you deserve proper compensation. Don't delay. Call MEJ.
E-bike. Let's ride an e-bike. Ride an e-bike with Big E Bicycle Hire. Big E Bicycle Hire delivers to you at home, by the lake, or pack a picnic and ride to the lake.
Big E Bicycle Hire. E-bikes to ride where you want to ride. See the sights without the sweat. Canberran locals love Big E bicycles and you will too. Ride where you want to ride with Big E Bicycles. Big E Bicycle Hire. Visit bigebicyclehire.com.au today.
Go Harvey Norman. $1 upsize deal on now. Choose a selected queen size mattress and for $1 more, upsize to a king. That's right, pay just $1 more to upsize from a queen to a king. Choose from a selected range of big brands, including Sealy Posturepedic, King Coil by A.H. Beard, Sleepmaker, Beauty Rest, and Tempur. Hurry, $1 upsize deal on selected big brand mattresses ends Monday. Harvey Norman. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions and exclusions apply.
Thanks to Sears Workwear, Barrier Street, Fishwick. Call 131 873. Michael McLaren on 2CC.
All right, we've got the 2 o'clock news just around the corner. Time waits for no person. After that, we'll get into Friday food. We'll give the Australian beef industry, the Australian meat industry, a bit of support today in light of everything that's going on. I'll catch up with the General Manager of the Australian Meat Emporium.
This news thanks to the Energy People. Winter's coming. Heat your home with Panasonic and the energypeople.com.au.
From the Capital Radio Network, 2CC News.
It's 21 degrees in Canberra. Clear skies overnight, getting down to 6. From the Capital Radio Newsroom, I'm Brent Ford. Tens of thousands of Australians have been affected by a coordinated cyber attack on several industry super funds. Australian Retirement Trust, Australian Super, Host Plus, Rest and Expand have been targeted by hackers. Australian Super has confirmed at least 4 of its customers' accounts have had money withdrawn illegally. Tony Mockbell is preparing to be released from custody after 18 years behind bars. The Court of Appeal has granted bail while he fights to have his convictions quashed because hit barrister Nicola Gobbo was a police informant. His sister has put up $1 million surety for a second time. Lawyer Justin Quill says in 2006 it was lost when Mockbell infamously fled to Greece.
The reason you do it is because the person getting bail is more likely to feel some sort of obligation to stay here because of their sister or their mother or their friend or whoever, and you're putting them in danger.
Traffic conditions will be changing as upgrades to the Monero Highway continue. From the 14th of April, there will be changed traffic conditions to support the demolition and then the construction of a new bridge over Dog Trap Creek. Temporary traffic lights will be installed on the northbound lanes of the Monero Highway at the Lanyon Drive intersection, and lane changes put in place northbound to Dog Trap Creek Bridge. For more information on the changes, visit the Built for CBR website. Varroamite has been detected at a property in the Cowan district of the ACT. It's the first time varroamite has been detected in the ACT, and the government is working with the affected beekeeper to provide advice on management techniques. More updates will be given directly to beekeepers as information becomes available. For more information on varroamite, visit the ACT Environment website. More than 60% of parents support a ban on junk food advertisements targeting children. Deakin University surveyed 4,000 parents, finding 85% were concerned about child-appealing marketing. Professor Catherine Backholder says children are seeing these ads throughout their daily lives.
On TV, when kids connect to their digital devices, they're bombarded with junk food ads. When they go to their school sports, they're like walking billboards with McDonald's logos on their sports uniforms.
Also making news, there's been a 3.7 magnitude earthquake in Albury, and a ute belonging to a woman missing in regional Queensland has been found about 60 kilometres from her hometown. The whereabouts of the 29-year-old mother of three is still unknown.
Sports Update.
South's coach Wayne Bennett is calling for an overhaul of the rules surrounding high tackles ahead of tonight's battle with the Roosters. Bennett wants the NRL to formalise an experimental rule that was used in the pre-season, where defenders are sin-binned if a player is ruled out with concussion. He's concerned that match officials are being left to determine the level of force in a tackle.
The referee is not qualified to determine how much force is used in that tackle. Okay, none of us are, except the doctors, and that's what they do. You go get examined by the doctor. If you can't continue in the game, then the player should get 10 minutes in the sin bin. It's pretty simple, but it'll have a lot more fairness to it than we've got right now.
Raiders pair Sebastian Chris, Hudson Young and Shark Billy Burns have all been charged for careless high tackles during Canberra's 24-20 overnight victory, but have escaped suspension. And Tegan Micah is expected to start for the Matildas against South Korea tonight, with goalkeeper Mackenzie Arnold ruled out through injury. And that's the latest from the Capital Radio Newsroom.
2CC Weather, Australia's biggest ever golf sale under one roof. Pete's 45th birthday. Canberra's International Golf Centre, Narrabundah.
Clear skies overnight, getting down to 6. Tomorrow sunny and 23. Sunday sunny, also light winds and 21. And Monday partly cloudy, 23. Craving Canberra's best steak? Find it at the Inn. Ainsley's best kept secret with bloody good food and service. Feel at home at the Inn above Edgar's.
Canberra's news leader is 2CC. Stephen Senatiempo.
We all saw the Prime Minister fall off that stage, but his response was, no, I didn't fall off the stage. One leg went down, but I was fine. We actually saw him fall on his backside, and then he lied to our faces and said, no, it didn't happen. We'll lower your energy bills. We won't change the stage 3 tax cuts. We'll keep interest rates down. I didn't fall off the stage. Do you see the pattern here? This is a bloke who could not lie straight in bed. Is this the bloke that should be running the country?
Canberra's best breakfast with Stephen Senatiempo. Weekdays from 5:30 on 2CC.
Now at Harvey Norman, no deposit, 60 months interest-free on a Latitude Go MasterCard and participating Latitude credit cards from Latitude Financial Services. Available on eligible purchases using an equal monthly payment plan. Monthly credit card fee currently $10.95 applies. Plus receive a bonus Harvey Norman gift card when you spend $1,000 or more on interest-free purchases. Shop furniture, bedding, laptops, TVs, fridges, appliances, flooring, bathrooms and more. New customers must be approved. Minimum financed amount $1,000. T's and C's, credit card fees, charges and exclusions apply. Now at Harvey Norman.
Janine Florist, serving Canberra for over 65 years, helping you with a perfect gift. Whether it's a birthday, a thank you, or sending love during tough times, Janine Florist has the perfect arrangement, delivering 7 days a week all over Canberra so you can make someone smile anytime. Order before 2 p.m. for same-day delivery. Visit their store Monday to Saturday in Bailey's Corner Civic. Order online at janineflorist.com.au or just give them a ring. Janine Florist, where every bouquet tells a story. janineflorist.com.au.
These few seconds of sanity are brought to you by Canberra Walk in Avery. Film, feed, or just lose yourself amongst the 60 species of birds in their 1,000 square metres of sanctuary. Book online at canberrawalkinavery.com.au. Canberra Walk in Avery, Gold Creek Village, Nichols. Beautiful noise. Beautiful noise.
Craving the sizzle? Philly's Chicken by Carabar Takeaway has hatched next door. Feast on their barbecued whole chickens that the family will love and choose from their delicious dipping sauces, tandoori, piri-piri or rich Mediterranean. Succulent fried chicken pieces and for dessert, delicious Sunday soft serve. Whether delivery, pick up or dine in, Philly's Chicken is your new go-to for flavour-packed chicken. Philly's Chicken, now open from 10:30am to 8pm daily.
Now on 2GB and network stations. Back to Afternoons with Michael McLaren.
Just on the superannuation situation, Australian Super confirming hundreds of members impacted. I think the figure I saw was at least 600. At least $100,000 has been stolen in suspected cyber attacks on a number of superannuation accounts. So a lot of people trying to get in touch with all of their different super providers saying, oh, am I part of it? Chances are you're not, looking at the scope of this. But a number of the super providers are simply, they have a system, a database that just can't cope with the volume of calls seemingly coming through from what you're saying to me. So if you're trying to get in touch with whatever your industry provider is, and you're not getting through, we're hearing behind the scenes that chances are it's simply just overload at this stage. We will keep inquiring on your behalf, and if we can get an answer, we will. 131873. This story bubbled through a while ago, and I had to check the date because I thought it must be an April Fool's one. There was a few this year. But no, this came through the day before, March 31 from the UK. And I've shared with you one or two stories in the past about the incredible leniency that some of the courts in Europe, particularly the European Court of Human Rights, the ECHR, seems to apply within the British jurisdiction when migrants, illegal immigrants and the like, are trying to stay in the UK, right? So they try every legal trick in the book, and there's some pain-in-the-neck lawyer somewhere over there that'll help them do it, even though it's not in the national interest. And there was that one the other day about the Albanian whose kid couldn't go back to Albania because he didn't like the chicken nuggets. Well, I think he was deported. I think that wasn't strong enough an argument. But this one might be. An Afghan accused of smuggling thousands of migrants into the UK should not be extradited to Belgium. I mean, yeah, Belgium's not such a bad place. Because there are mosquitoes in the prison in Belgium. Well, so a court has heard. The 25-year-old was arrested in Britain after a Belgian judge jailed him in his absence last year. He was alleged to be part of a gang involved in organising the transportation of migrants from Afghanistan through Iran, Turkey, the Balkans, into Europe, including to France and then Belgium. He managed to get all the way to the UK. But many would then be put on small boats in northern France and head across the Channel. Some members of the gang suspected of transporting thousands of people this particular way. I mean, these are really bad people. Yeah, really bad people. But the individual is now fighting extradition on the grounds that the conditions he would face in prison in Belgium would violate Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights. It just keeps popping up. Why the Brits don't cut themselves completely free of this ECHR thing, it's got me perplexed. It is just such a boondoggle. Now, Article 3 apparently protects people from inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. I'm not sure when the founding fathers drafted that they had mosquitoes in prison in mind as part of the definition. But it wouldn't surprise me if he wins. All right, he may have been planning the chicken nugget defence, only to realise maybe he didn't have a son and it didn't work. last time. But maybe now it's the mosquito defence. Let's see if that prevails. 131873.
Food, wonderful food, marvelous food, glorious food.
Now on afternoons, Friday Food.
All right, 11 past 2, let's talk food. It is a Friday, and probably, if the weather holds up like it looks like it's going to, plenty of people will be activating the barbecue over the weekend. And what a good weekend to put a bit of Australian meat on the barbecue, support the local industry. The tariffs are one thing, but a lot of the big cattle producers in Queensland and the like, they're suffering with these horrendous floods at the moment, and there are a lot of things happening at once here, which is making life for some of our primary producers pretty tough. So I thought we'd dedicate Friday Food to them today and try to get people to put a bit of Australian meat on the plate and get your iron levels up and all the rest of it. And people have said to me, just before I get to my next guest, they said, have you tried American beef? I said, well, no, I've never been to America, I haven't. They said, well, look, don't rush. Don't waste your time. I said, the reason they buy so much of ours is apparently ours is so much better than theirs. Now, maybe you get what you pay for. I don't know. I'm sure there's some very good American beef ranchers and they produce some good stuff, I'm sure. But maybe the stock standard stuff's pretty ordinary compared to what we are so lucky to get here. So let's cherish it. Let's support it. Rob Greenhouse Ward is the general manager of a wonderful business. It's the Australian Meat Emporium. They've got a big outlet down there near the airport, actually. People rave about it. And he's on the line. Rob, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Michael. How are you?
I'm well. Congratulations on the business. It's going from strength to strength.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going well, and we're growing, and we're really happy with. I guess our customers are really happy with what we're putting on the shelf. So all is well.
That's how it should be. Okay, so all the talk at the moment, obviously, is tariffs, and the Australian beef seems to be particularly exposed. As far as what you put on your shelves, I mean, is there any American beef at all, or is it simply all Australian stuff?
Definitely not American beef. Pretty much Australia is one of the biggest beef producers in the world, and as you were saying about American beef, if you're buying anything other than Australian beef in Australia, then something's probably wrong. You're probably not at the right establishment.
I suppose that's right. Why? I mean, we can be patriotic all we like, but why is ours a superior product?
Look, we have a unique position in that we have a lot of land and not a lot of people. So we have a lot of agricultural land, which allows us to produce, obviously, we have the space to produce a lot of livestock. And then we also have programs in industry, and the industry is set up specifically to support farmers and the production of good quality red meat. So we have different classifications for meat, and we have, a well-resourced and an efficient industry which has been built up over a long period of time.
Yeah, that efficiency seems to be the key right across our agricultural sector. I mean, we have some challenges with the climate. You're right, we've got a big continent, but some of it's not that arable, but we make the most of it. We've become terribly lean and efficient, and I mean, the beef farmers would be right up the top there globally, wouldn't they, in that metric?
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of the quality of the cattle we produce is up there, and then also the quality of our processing. So our abattoirs and it feeds all the way down to, our butcher shops. You'll find better meat in Australian butcher shops and supermarkets, for that matter, than pretty much everywhere else in the world. If you go to places in Europe and the US, yes, you'll find it, but you're probably going to pay a lot more.
Yes.
And it's probably less plentiful.
I mean, it is testament, isn't it, the fact that we export this stuff all over the world. Often there's a premium applied to it because of the cost of export and the rest, but we also export some of the best stuff. So, your top-grade Wagyu and this. I mean, in Asia, it's dare I say it, red meat gold over there, really.
Pretty much. The main Wagyu, if it's not coming from Japan around the world, is most likely Australian. And, we have we are located near the airport in Sydney. We have a lot of people coming in and buying a whole bunch of meat and then taking on the airplane across to different Asian countries because the cost of red meat over in those areas are so expensive.
I bet. Okay, now back to your business, the Meat Emporium. You got this big place down there near the airport. I'm led to believe you've got Sydney's biggest cool room. Is that right?
That is correct. We like to, although if someone was to challenge that, it's a bit of he said, she said. It's like having the best pie in the world. No one is actually probably going to challenge that. But yes, we probably do have the biggest cool room, I would say, in Australia.
I mean, you could measure it, right? You could actually work it out.
Yeah, of course.
It's not that subjective. Anyway, whatever. It's very, very big. When people come down there, with a cool room of that scale, what's on offer? It must be almost everything.
Yeah. So we basically supply almost every different type of protein. So we have obviously all your main categories, but then also a lot of game meat and a lot of stuff you're probably not finding anywhere else. Like we have some crocodile, I think we have some emu in the freezer, we have rabbits and all that kind of thing in between. Really? But one of our biggest, I guess, product lines is we have our own farm, which means we can bring our own cattle through the store. And so that means we can have a nose to tail approach. So we sell everything from the tail of the animal to the tongue of the animal and everything in between. Which, again, we're talking about different quality of Australian meat. We are able to satisfy all the different cuisines that we have in Australia because we're such a multicultural society.
Yes.
And the different cuisines obviously have been used, they use different parts of the animal. So we sell a lot of tongue and offal meat. And then also a lot of that we call them secondary cuts, which are kind of your more value-added, better bang for your buck cuts, because they're really popular in other cuisines like South American and Asian cuisines.
Yeah, you can get your protein, but without the price tag, I suppose.
Exactly.
The tongue thing, I occasionally eat out. I haven't seen beef tongue on a menu, as far as I can remember, for quite a long time. Is this actually selling?
Yes, we sell quite a lot of it, and a lot of it goes to if you go to somewhere like a Korean barbecue, you'll probably see beef tongue on the menu, or like in Chinese cuisine, certain parts of China use beef tongue as a delicacy.
How about that? So the idea is basically waste not, want not, and it's sort of a mindset that would have prevailed even in Australia, more so in previous times, but with cost of living pressures, I guess, as you say, and also the increasing multicultural nature of the community. Some of these formerly discarded cuts are now, you can make some money on them.
Exactly, and I guess they're our own cows as well, so we try and waste as little as possible because we raise these cows and they live a good life, and then we obviously want to extract as much of the cow as possible and not go into a bin. So we are proud that we can offer everything in between. And we're able to sell most of it, which is great.
Just finally then, back to the whole tariff thing, which I guess is the catalyst of us speaking today. We want people to buy Australian beef and support the local guys. Now, American beef isn't on the market here, so we don't have to sort of boycott that to buy ours or anything like that. But broadly speaking, we do export a lot of good quality beef to America. If the tariff is applied, maybe some of that won't be going anymore because maybe it won't be cost competitive. We'll have to see. I mean, it could do one of two things. It could then either go to a different overseas market, should they wish to buy it, or it could come on our shelves here. Do we generally export the better quality stuff, or do we export sort of all different types of beef abroad?
Yeah, good question. So we do export a range because we produce so much, we don't have the population to consume it.
Yeah.
To the States, I think for the majority, our export is lean trim. So that's all the stuff. That's basically unclassified cut, which is made for mince and burgers and sausages and manufactured products. Then that's the majority of our export. At the moment, I was doing a little calculation before. They are putting a 10% tariff on this lean trim. We're still 7.5% to 8% cheaper than their domestic beef. So
wow,
even with a tariff, our beef is still quite a bit cheaper.
Wow. Okay.
And then that's also not in consideration with, I guess, other countries who are also getting hit with tariffs and then putting reciprocal tariffs on. And so they're probably more likely to buy Australian beef than American beef.
So there's a lot of gnashing of teeth and consternation at the moment because, the accepted and established norm is being upended. But even with that, you're saying we'll still be cheaper than the American domestic product and probably a better product. And so it may not be curtains yet. Yeah, exactly. And I guess Australian beef compared to other beef producers around the world, the Americans love Australian beef because of its quality, its food safety, its traceability. And over the last, recent years, our imports of grass-fed beef into America is increasing, and Americans are wanting more and more grass-fed beef, which we have quite a lot of because we have a lot of grass and we have a lot of land. Well, that's a very interesting takeaway. I'm glad we spoke just for that alone. Well done again on the business. I know it's going from strength to strength, Rob, and thank you for your time. Thanks, Michael. See you in store. Yeah, look forward to it. Rob Greenhow-Ward, as I said, the general manager of the Australian Meat Emporium. You might have checked them out, the biggest cool room, allegedly, in, Sydney, Southern Hemisphere, world, galaxy. I can't remember which measure it was. But all sorts of stuff there, not just beef. What are you saying? Game meat, crocodile, emu? I don't think too many people would be whipping up an emu steak on the barbecue on Saturday, but there again, why not? Rabbit and then the old beef tongue. Anyone listening out there had beef tongue lately? I suspect most people haven't. Korean barbecues, okay, maybe fine, but not too much you can do with beef tongue, really. What used to be sort of in Anglo cuisine is boil it, didn't you? Didn't you boil it in like a big pot with onions and juniper or something, or clove? I don't know. You're probably pushing it uphill, tariffs or not flogging that on a menu for $15 a bowl. But there again, don't try till you've knocked. Don't knock it till you try it, one way or the other. It's 2:22. More after this.
2CC is on the federal election trail.
In uncertain times, we cannot decide the challenges that we will face.
Discussing the issues.
Getting inflation down, getting real wages up.
Australia decides May 3rd.
This has been a bad government and families and businesses are under pressure. They need that support now.
Everything you need to know.
They're the Australian values. That's what I'll fight for.
With Canberra's best analysis of the federal election. 2CC.
Attention landlords in Canberra. Are you aware of the new minimum insulation regulation? Does your property comply? Did you know your installer must be certified? What about the mandatory certificate of electrical safety? Avoid the fines. Call Australia's biggest employer of certified insulation installers, Alexander Watson Insulation, based right here in Canberra. Don't risk it with a dodgy installer. Call Alexander Watson Insulation. Canberra's cold. Your house doesn't have to be. alexanderwatson.com.au.
Do you know what I'm sick of? Going to weddings and having to get a burger on the way because I know I'm only going to get a half-sucked chop with a single-piece side salad. How can one sustain a full night of shaking it on the dance floor trying to pick up the bridesmaids on that? A wedding guest needs sustenance just to get through the speeches. And who wants to pay $100 a guest to have Auntie Thelma tanked on one glass of bubbly because she didn't get enough food? There's only one thing to do. Call Coast to Coast the Golden Roast. More food, less money. More food, less money. More food, less money. Coast to Coast the Golden Roast.
Look, it's steel beams, it's steel pipes, it's the Men of Steel, the independent steel company. They stock hundreds of tons of steel for builders, fabricators, and even the home handyman. With weather-resistant steel garden edging to hot-dip galvanised retaining wall posts, there's no job too big or too small for the Men of Steel, the independent steel company. Your local steel supplier. 27 Endurance Avenue, Queanbeyan, next door to Time Lock Fencing.
Attention travellers, Bags to Go Fishwick's Luggage and Travel Mega Store is on sale now. Get ready to jet off in style with extra discounts across a huge range of handbags, luggage, duffel bags and travel accessories. We'll beat any advertised price on top brand luggage.
The sales are on right now at Bags to Go, but hurry, it's on for a limited time only. Save up to 50% on Samsonite while stocks last. Visit us now at bagstogo.com.au for fast free shipping. Conditions apply.
With Bags to Go and with price so low.
Chop Chop. For discount quality firewood from kindling to large cuts, call Sapphire Coast Firewood. 1-800-4-FIREWOOD. Drive in, load up, drive off. It's easy to get quality firewood at discount prices with Sapphire Coast Firewood. 1-800-4-FIREWOOD. With a certified weighbridge, yard sales and a delivery sales for box and red gum, Chop Chop to Sapphire Coast Firewood. 1-800-4-FIREWOOD. Drive in, load up, drive off at 35 Kendall Avenue, Queanbeyan.
Thanks to Sears Workwear, Barrier Street, Fishwick.
Call 131 873. Michael McLaren on 2CC.
Okay, tongues aplenty by the sound of things. Steve says, my wife's from Yorkshire. We used to have tongue sandwiches at a family event when we lived there. Okay. Were they any good stuff? I mean, I wonder, look, I think the problem with tongue is the idea, this is what my issue is. If I'm thinking I'm eating it, I sort of get in my mind this idea that I'm biting my own tongue, which is something you want to avoid when you eat, right? So I don't know. Maybe, for me, it's a psychological thing. I'm sure if you disguise it with enough herbs and spices, it can taste like anything. Someone here says that the Lebanese mother-in-law always cooks tongue for the husband on a fortnightly basis. It's his favourite meal with some walnut and garlic sauce. David, back in Ceylon, beef tongue stew, much as you described it. This one from Jenny. My mother had a small book called Children's Party Food... Oh, dear. Where's this going? Children's Party Food Ideas, probably published in the 50s. One of the ideas was tongue sandwiches. Kid you not. Kerry. My son ordered beef tongue at quite an upmarket Italian restaurant. A giant tongue on a plate arrived, and he ate it. It looked disgusting, turned me off my dinner. That's from Kerry. Thank you, Kerry. Saeed, you like tongue too, do you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Every time I tune up to your show, something interesting going on, and I just hit the dial button.
Good.
So, yeah, absolutely. We loved eating tongue. The best way we cook it is that just, put some salt on it and a little bit of, garlic, yes, and just put it on a pan with a little bit of oil, toast it from both sides, and it's all done. And it's like you can eat it raw. That's it. It's so amazing. And I'm from Pakistan, where we and Muslims, we do have Eid every year.
Yes.
Where everyone has to slaughter an animal and distribute the meat to the poor and needy. So we do not waste anything in the animal's body. So
I admire that. I do. I really admire that. I mean, that was the mindset of my grandparents' generation. Before, when you go through depressions and all sorts of things, you can't afford to waste. We're a bit spoilt now, I suppose. Well, let's see how these tariffs go. But so just before you go, you say, I just trying to work out how this is done. You don't stick the whole big long tongue on the grill. You slice it thin first, do you, and then?
Absolutely, yeah. So just put it thin, put some salt in it, and fry it with a little bit of oil. And once it's brown toasted from both ends, good to go.
Okay. All right, Saeed, appreciate your call. Have a lovely Friday. Thank you. Steve, you do it a bit differently, do you?
Certainly. The best way to do tongue is, the nickname for tongue is corned shoe liquor. Because well, it's the same as the oxtail is called steering gear, because you can grab the ox by the tail and steer it.
Yeah.
But what you do is you do it the same as you do corned beef. So and if you really want to tart it up, you put it in the slow cooker with ginger ale, and maybe a sprinkle of Keen's curry powder, and a couple of onions in there, and let it cook for 4 or 6 hours in the slow cooker, and it comes out, and it is the most delightful. It's better than corned beef.
Tender tongue.
Yeah, tender shoe liquor.
Tender shoe liquor. It must be calf's leather. Good on you, Steve. Appreciate it, mate. Have a good Friday.
It's that time of the afternoon. Time to find out what's coming up on Sydney Now for the Cerato successor, the turbocharged Kia K4. Kia's all-new small sedan, GT line variant available now. Find out more about Kia's latest small car.
Now, the only way this man will ever have tongue is if McDonald's do a McTongue burger. Hello, Clinton Maynard.
I'm feeling a little queasy. You mentioned the herbs. Well, you mentioned the herbs and spices, so I'm an ideas man. KFT. So I mentioned to you earlier in the week that when I went through the KFC, the Kentucky Fried Chicken drive-through the other day, they failed to do what they should do best, cook chicken. They'd run out of chicken. So I think maybe the next option for the good folk at KFC is to become KFT, Kentucky Fried Tongue.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't run out. There'd be a constant supply. How long?
How do you know where the tongue's been before you eat the tongue?
No, okay. Do you eat eggs?
Yes.
You know where they've been?
Well, I don't eat the shell.
Okay, but you can peel the tongue. I think you can peel the tongue, don't you?
Oh, right.
I believe that's what you do.
I thought you eat it whole.
Well, what, the whole tongue? Have you seen how big calves' tongues are?
Very well. It depends what animal.
What are you, a
coming
sword
from.
swallower or something, eh? No, well, yeah. I mean, what about rump? Rump steak. You eat that? You know what goes on around there?
But you cook your rump steak first.
Well, they cook the tongue. No one's having it carpaccio.
Raw tongue. In Japan, they do.
Do they?
Love raw tongue.
How do you know that?
They love raw food in Japan.
A tongue?
Everything.
What's Japanese for raw tongue?
Everything. We'll find out. 131873.
After 3 o'clock. What's coming up as well as that answer?
Look, we'll find out exactly what was inside the balls that arrived on... I just can't handle this segment sometimes. You just make me laugh, Michael.
You said it to me.
The balls that washed up on Sydney's beaches.
Oh, I'm with you.
Sydney Water has now completed a detailed analysis.
I was going to say, you know where they've been to?
Of the balls.
Right.
That washed up. And we'll find out after 3.
Yes.
With Sydney Water, Louise Beer from Sydney Water.
I'm sure they were thrilled when you put that pitch to them. How do they answer?
They have completed their investigation, the full analysis. There's a detailed report that's been released.
Bet it is.
We'll go through the report after 3 o'clock.
Well, don't make a balls up of that. What else?
New movie coming out, The Correspondent, which stars Richard Roxburgh.
Does it?
Richard Roxburgh plays Peter Grester, who 2013, reporting for Al Jazeera, war correspondent, was thrown into an Egyptian jail. There were trumped-up charges. He was sentenced to 7 years, served 400. I saw the movie a couple of days ago. It's being released in a few days' time, a couple of weeks' time. It's really good. I was fortunate to interview Richard and Peter a little earlier.
Richard's fantastic.
Yeah, you look at his body of work. What he's done.
Amazing.
And the ability to, and this is a serious movie, it's a gritty movie, but to go from playing roles in Baz Luhrmann features such as Elvis, Moulin Rouge, to then be able to pull off a performance like this.
Versatile.
He was in The Crown as Bob Hawke a couple of years ago.
He was too.
Yeah.
He was fantastic in that, actually.
He's a great actor.
Got the voice so right.
So Richard Roxburgh and Peter Grester will join me. And we are going to talk about the big potato at Robertson.
Oh, yes.
Which I actually don't think it looks like a potato.
No, I was not going to go back there.
It's been painted pink. We'll find out exactly why on Sydney Now.
Doesn't look like that other thing anymore then.
No, it doesn't.
All right, thank you, Clinton.
Well, that had a big tongue.
That will be quite a program. After 3 o'clock, Sydney Now with Clinton Maynard. Erin Maher, save us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Michael. Gangland figure Tony Mockbell has been released from custody. He's been granted bail while he appeals his convictions because his lawyer was a police informant. Superannuation members have reported losing money after their accounts were hacked in a coordinated cyber attack. Former State MP Rory Amon has pleaded not guilty to 10 charges relating to child sex offences. He'll face trial in February next year. An American danger tourist faces up to 5 years in prison after illegally sailing to the remote North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal and leaving a can of Coke for the world's most isolated tribe. In sport, a blow for Rugby Australia. Wallabies star Noah Lolesio has announced he's taking up an offer to play in Japan at the end of this season. And there'll be more news at 3 o'clock.
On afternoons, a finance update for Pretzel Wealth and Finance. For trusted financial planning, just Google Blake went to Pretzel.
All right, let's go to Scott Phillips from the Motley Fool, fool.com.au, Friday Finance. Scott, no need to go into any particular companies today because it's a sea of red. What's the market looking like and how's the dollar reacting today?
Yeah, well, let's set it up. Overnight, the S&P 500 was down 4.8%. The NASDAQ, the tech-heavy NASDAQ, down 6%, 5.97 for those two decimal places. Probably fortunate that we're getting away with much more lightly than that, but still a really rugged day for the All Ords. Currently down 2.2%. 7,877 points. The tariffs continue to reverberate. The Aussie dollar down against the US dollar by about 1/3%, currently 62.52 US cents.
Yeah, it's been quite the hemorrhage on the market, hasn't it?
Really has. It's going to be a tough one until we kind of get more certainty about what's going to go on and the impacts that are going to flow from it. The Yanks are worried about their economy and their stock market. It's hard for us to avoid the the echoes, the aftermath, whatever you want to call it, we're getting tired with that brush, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll talk on Monday and let's see what the weekend brings. Thank you, Scott. Enjoy the weekend nonetheless. Scott Phillips there from the Motley Fool, fool.com.au. Now, we have got a statement here from Australian Super. Many of you have been saying you've been having great difficulty, if not impossibility, getting in touch to try to work out whether yours as one of these super accounts has been affected by this hack. The statement reads as follows. We are experiencing a high volume of traffic to our call centre, member online accounts and mobile app, and that's causing intermittent outages. Even though you may not be able to see your account or you are seeing a $0 balance, your account is secure. That is the message. This is a temporary situation and we're working hard to resolve it as quickly as possible. We apologise for any inconvenience. So that's come from Australian Super. But I think the important point there for people worried is this. That even though you may not be able to see your account or you are seeing a $0 balance, your account is secure. That's coming from the team at Australian Super. Any further update before 3 o'clock, I will share it with you.
Hi, Leon Delaney. Today on Canberra Live, David Pocock calls for an investigation into ANU's alleged contempt of the Senate. Peter Dutton's approval ratings drastically plummet in latest opinion poll, and Australian mushrooms are now in space. Canberra Live from 3 on 2CC.
Go Harvey Norman for the hottest deals on the latest tech. Grab yourself a new notebook from just $348, like the latest Acer Celeron quad-core laptop, amazing value, just $348. Gaming laptops like the Nitro V with NVIDIA RTX 2050 graphics from just $888. Desktop computers like the HP desktop with AMD Ryzen 3 processor from $698. And computer monitors from a low $115. At Harvey Norman now. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions apply.
The deals are getting hotter and hotter at Open Mobility. Hurry in for superb deals now. Get hot deals on selected lift chairs, scooters, bed packages, and popular products such as the Uccello tipping kettle. Check out the hot deals online or in-store today. Discover the Open Mobility difference with free delivery, free setup and demonstration, and the 5% price guarantee on everything. Open Mobility's hot deals are on now. Opposite the post offices in Belconnen and Tuggeranong.
Ah, now that's a good coffee. You going to tell me a secret?
Well, we use good coffee, of course, but what guarantees the flavour is we clean our machine every night using Cafetto Commercial Coffee Machine Cleaner. Our grinder gets clean as well. And sanitising the milk frother is a must. Removing all the stale residues ensures a full-bodied flavour all the time.
Cool. Can I get another one?
Of course. Get your Cafetto coffee cleaning products only at The Cleaning Warehouse. thecleaningwarehouse.com.au.
Talking Canberra, 2CC, a Capital Radio Network station.
We're talking Canberra.
This is Ian Meikle, editor of Canberra City News. I'm a professional and experienced journalist, and I couldn't be prouder of the stories and columns we publish every week in print and every day online. You can't go past it. City News, well written, well read.
Why wander far and wide when the perfect pair is just around the corner? Joe's Boots on Jardine Street, Kingston. Discover a world of comfort and style with new season boots, including Uggs, available all year round. Stocking top brands like Ariat, Birkenstock, Blundstone, Mongrel, Redback, Red Wing and RM Williams. Ladies, don't miss the chic Cabello collection. Step into Joe's Boots and step up your style. Conveniently located on Jardine Street in Kingston. Visit joesbootskingston.com.
With What's Needed Electrical, you get fast, reliable, affordable service, even in emergencies. Specialising in domestic, commercial and industrial work, they offer obligation-free quotes and over 40 years of combined expertise. From installation to split system air conditioning, lighting, switchboard upgrades, power points, ceiling fans and so much more. Stay powered up with What's Needed Electrical. Family owned and run since 2017. Visit whatsneeded.com.au. That's WATTSneeded.com.au.
Domain Bedding's Bargain Bonanza mattress event is on now. Huge deals on major brands like Sealy, Sleepmaker, King Coil, Dunlopillow and Tempur. Spend $14.99 on your new mattress and get bonus local delivery and a Guardsman MK2 mattress protector. Get up to a huge 55% off mattresses. It's all on sale. Adjustable bases, bed frames, quilt sheet sets, pillows, towels and more. Get a selected Tempur Queen mattress and upgrade to an Ease Queen adjustable base for just $1. Domain Bedding Fish Week's Bargain Bonanza. Sale ends Monday.
More stimulating talk. Michael McLaren, thanks to Sears Workwear, Barrier Street Fish Week on 2CC.
About to go 20 to 3. Just back to the election for this moment. The Tab have sent me a press release here. This is to do with the odds at this stage as to who's going to win. The money's moving toward the Prime Minister. It says here Anthony Albanese has been heavily backed into $1.55 favourite, the shortest price since last July, to win the federal election. This is following the tariff announcement. Tab saying that the global uncertainty has seen Labor's odds crunched to $1.55. The coalition have eased to $2.40 as of today. And it's a pretty dramatic move. Labor were $1.75 favourites when the election was called on Friday. Coalition were $2.05. So some money's coming in for Labor. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that's going to be the result. But you do sort of get a bit of a sense that momentum in week one of the campaign has gone the Labor Party's way. Still, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever to go before pre-poll voting. But the coalition are going to have to get their act together to start to arrest some of that. I wonder what some of the other betting agencies are doing. I haven't seen, but that's what the Tab say. The Prime Minister's looking pretty good at this stage. Kevin, g'day.
G'day, Michael. How are you?
Good, mate. Thank you.
Listen, I'm just calling about the farmers, particularly the exporters. I guess most people understand farmers are always up against the weather and the commodity price.
Yeah.
With the exporters, it's also the currency. So, our exporters of beef, when they sell to the US, right now with the currency low as it is, they get more Aussie for a lower Aussie-US exchange rate. So they'd rather receive US dollars and then they would either put hedges or options or anything like that around it to secure their returns. So they're pretty smart guys, whilst the impost of 10% will impact them somewhat, they have enough financial acumen around them to be able to work that into their pricing. And with currencies the way they are and where rates are moving, the Aussie-US will probably go a bit lower still as we cut rates. So, I don't think it's all that doom and gloom. And it is, I guess, 10%, so it is one of the lower tariffs that Trump's put in place.
It was interesting, our previous guest, who's in the meat business, said that even with the 10% impost, ours would still be 7 to 8%, I think he said, 7 to 8% cheaper than the American domestic product. So there is still some financial hope there.
Well, the currency is a big player right now. I mean, $1 million US in their hands is about 1.67 Aussie at 60 cents, and at 64 it's 1.56. So the lower it goes, the more comes into their hand when they convert back to Aussie.
That's a very, very good point. Well made, Kevin. Thank you. Appreciate your call. Enjoy your Friday afternoon. There's the horses. There's your cue to call. Okay, off to the prize line you go. 1300 722 873. You want those Easter show tickets? 4 of them to give away in our hot little hand here. 1300 722 873. Call it 10 on that prize line, and the tickets will be yours. And if you are the winner and you're there one of the days we're there, come say g'day. Love to see you out at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. Of course, there is a happy place for everyone there. April 11 to 22, you can grab your early bird tickets. That's the best way of doing it, ladies and gentlemen. You can save eastershow.com.au. Now, this story bubbled up this morning. It involves an American by the name of Mikhailo Viktorievich Polyakov. Sounds like something out of Dr. Zhivago. But he's from Arizona and he's 24. And he's made the news. He's a so-called danger tourist. Okay? He models himself on Tintin. Doesn't look anything like him. But he faces now up to 5 years in prison after illegally sailing to a remote island in the Bay of Bengal and leaving a can of Coke for what's described as the world's most isolated tribe. Now, these are the inhabitants of North Sentinel Island. Now, I remember doing a story on these people, 8 years ago maybe, I don't know, 6. You lose track of time with COVID, I guess, but they had been approached by somebody else. I don't know if it was this Palooka or somebody else, but they tried to they are like a Neolithic tribe. If you were to go and meet them, it'd be like going way back in time. You're being transported, quantum tunnelling sort of stuff. And they have been removed from the development of the rest of the world because of their isolation, and the Indian government, which I suppose a protectorate of them, have banned or limited visits to the island to protect their way of life. Okay, so they don't want to be touched, and of course, if they were to be engaged, chances are, like a lot of Indigenous people over the millennia, they would be exposed to diseases that would kill them. And so, leave them alone. Leave them alone. But that obviously means as soon as you say no to people, like little children, they always then want to go and do it. And so there's people like this character that then have a go. So, look, I don't know the whole story, but it looks like he got a sort of inflatable raft and headed over there and left a can of Coke on the beach and came back. Now, as I said, that's really dopey. But one of the other things that strikes me as particularly strange is of all the things you could leave a tribe that have never interacted with modernity, of all the things you could leave, a can of Coke? What's it going to do? Wouldn't you leave them something, I don't know, what would you leave them? What would you, if you were granted permission by the Indian government not to interact with these people, but in sort of a sealed way, you go and deliver one item from the modern world to this Neolithic tribe that are living in the modern world, although they don't know it, what would you drop on the sand? What would you leave before you skedaddled? A can of Coke? Really? I don't know. I mean, surely you'd try to work out what their language is or something and give them an encyclopedia of sorts so you can sort of bring them up to speed a little bit with how things are going. I don't know. Would you give them a device that has satellite and internet connectivity? A can of Cokes, to me, seems rather strange. But anyway, maybe he was inspired by that. What was that movie? What was that movie? It was to do with the tribe down in Africa, down in Namibia or something, and something about the gods. The Coke can dropped from the sky. And, they were the ones that speaking in the click language. Something about the gods. And it seems to me maybe he was inspired by that movie, whatever it was called, because there seems to be a slight similarity in the story there. Anyway, 131873, the open line number, 131873. We're speaking about tongue of all things earlier, and people making the point that South Korean barbecue restaurants are pretty big on this. Speaking of South Korea, the Constitutional Court there has removed impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol from office officially today. That's 4 months after he threw South Korean politics into turmoil by declaring martial law. Well, that all just went crazy over there, didn't it? Sending troops into the parliament and all the rest of it. The unanimous verdict of the court comes more than 3 months after the opposition-controlled National Assembly voted to impeach him. South Korea must now hold a national election within 2 months to find a new president. I know we have a lot of South Koreans living in Australia and they listen and all the rest of it, so it's relevant certainly to them. But South Korea being an important part of the Western Alliance now in this part of the world, we are better served with stability in Seoul rather than the opposite. 131873. Oh, the movie. Thank you, team. Yeah, The Gods Must Be Crazy. That was it. The Gods Must Be Crazy. John from Northmead. Well done, John. You heard the horses. You're our winner for Sounds of the Show. Look forward to seeing you out there. We're there for, I think, next Friday. And then, so today week, and then all the week leading into Good Friday. So if you're out there at the show, come and say good day. Be wonderful to meet you. We'll be there somewhere near the Woolworths Food Dome, I think. Same spot as we were last year. Really great spot. And you'll hear the parade coming through at about 1 o'clock when we're on air. And you'll get all the atmosphere coming through your microphone and the radio when we're out there from Friday next week. It's 12 and a half to 3.
Wide world of sports on 2CC.
The NRL furious at a lack of action from match officials on high tackles. The NRL's head of football, Graham Annesley.
We've had for several years now a pretty specific policy in place about that type of contact with the head and neck, direct forcible contact. The referees, we've made them very much aware that we expect them to apply NRL policy and how they adjudicate on contact with the head and neck.
Wide world of sports, weeknights from 6 on 2CC.
Now at Harvey Norman, 15% off selected AEG laundry appliances and 30% off selected AEG laundry appliance packages. Upgrade to premium AEG laundry appliances with this hot offer. 15% off selected AEG washing machines, 15% off selected AEG dryers, or a massive 30% off when you buy a selected AEG washer and dryer in the same transaction. Experience the premium AEG laundry range with this amazing offer. Now at Harvey Norman. Limited time. Conditions and exclusions apply.
Western Cruise and Travel, it's time to see the world.
Ready for your next travel adventure? Western Cruise and Travel, your ACT travel professionals, have an award-winning team with over 50 years of experience ready to help. Call us on 0262 884400, find us on Facebook or visit us in store. Western Cruise and Travel, proudly part of the Chris Watson Travel Group. Start ticking dreams off your bucket list today.
The memories of companionship, loyalty and love of your pet will live on forever. Give your faithful companion the send-off they deserve with Pause to Remember. your pet will receive a private cremation done locally in an environmentally friendly way. Contact pausetoremember.com.au or call Kathy on 0414 107 355. That's 0414 107 355. Pause to remember. Pet cremation done with love.
Seize the moment and make your dream Mazda a reality. At Philip Mazda, find exceptional value across the range. Mazda 3, Mazda 6, CX3, CX5, CX8 and CX9. Looking for a ute? Dual cabs and traybacks, manual and auto available. All models come with Mazda's 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty and 5 years roadside assist. Your moment is now. Philip Mazda, Melrose Drive, Phillip, or online at philipmazda.com.au.
If you've been physically or psychologically injured because of medical negligence, you deserve better. Like compensation that gives you security, justice, and the freedom to live life the way you should. That's why the team at Malaganas Edwards Johnson, Canberra's most trusted personal injury lawyers, believe you deserve proper compensation. Don't delay. Call MEJ.
More stimulating talk. Michael McLaren, thanks to Sears Workwear, Barrier Street, Fishwick, on 2CC.
The opposition leader Peter Dutton was in Epping in Sydney's northwest today at a petrol station, honing that message about Labor will give you a small tax cut on the Never Never, will give you the immediate relief in the petrol bowser as soon as we win. It was a good press conference from him. But Andrew Probyn got a message question in, and it was a very good question, because one thing a lot of petrol retailers sell in the store are legal cigarettes. Not that they're selling many of the legal ones today, because people are going elsewhere and buying the chop chop. So Andrew asked Peter Dutton what he would do about the rise in illicit tobacco. Good question. Have a listen.
But can I ask you about tobacco excise? Sure. There were cigarettes were being sold inside. The budget showed there was a $1.6 billion drop in tobacco excise in just 3 months, because a lot of Australian smokers are turning to the black market. It's worth tens of billions of dollars now in lost revenue. What would you do to fix the problem, given that smoking rates are pretty static?
Can't pretend that smoking rates have reduced, because people obviously are buying a black market product. That is obvious, and particularly teenagers, and that's something that we're dead against. So we should be doing everything we can to reduce smoking rates in our country, because it's obvious that, particularly for young people who are developing an early habit, there are obvious health consequences. And just repeat that message to every Australian that smoking is a bad option. What we would do, though, which I think would be quite different from the government, is that we wouldn't allow the bikies who are in lockstep with the CFMEU to continue to run the illegal illicit tobacco market. We would clamp down, and we would make sure that, as we did in government, the outlaw motorcycle gangs know that they don't have a place in our society. They are the ones importing the product, they are the ones distributing it, they're the ones responsible for firebombing tobacco shops, etc. And that's an obvious response that we would provide.
That's Peter Dutton earlier today. Now, look, some reasonable points there, but he doesn't look, well, certainly doesn't look like he'll be touching the excise rate. And unless you do something about that, the market the bikies are feeding off will only grow. You know, the easiest way, it's like with all these issues with drugs, the easiest way to take the criminal elements out is to take the market out from under them. Government with excise have created this market, and they've done it through excise. And it seems that all levels of government, bar a few exceptions, individuals, just don't want to recognise this. Anyway, I don't say that to pick on Peter Dutton. The Prime Minister and the Health Minister, adamantly, they're on the record. They're not going to touch excise. They're going to let it go up and up and up and up, because they think it's bringing down the rate of smoking. I don't know if it is anymore. What it is doing is taking up the rate of illegal, non-taxable smoking. Is that benefiting anybody? No.
Now on Afternoons, Cairns. Track of the day.
Okay, double pass. One last one for the week to Andre Rieu's 75th birthday celebration show. It's a movie. You're going to love it, of course. We've been hearing the ads from Andre, sounding good for 75. The song to inspire us, Frankie Valli. Frankie Valli, my goodness, what a star. Can't take my eyes off you.
You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You'd be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. At long last, love has arrived, and I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off.
Now, it was on this day in 1979 that the Australian actor and Oscar winner Heath Ledger was born. In 1999, he performed that song in what movie? If you know the answer, 131873, and the double pass to the Andre Rieu's 75th birthday celebration show is yours.
But if you feel like I feel, please let me know that it's real. You're just too good to be true.
Hi, Leon Delaney. Today on Canberra Live, David Pocock calls for an investigation into ANU's alleged contempt of the Senate. Peter Dutton's approval ratings drastically plummet in latest opinion poll, and Australian mushrooms are now in space. Canberra Live from 3 on 2CC.
Domain Fish Week's floor stock clearance is on now. Great deals on X-Display, Scratch and Dent and run-out models from all the biggest brands. Get up to a huge 60% off X-Display cooking appliances, up to 40% off run-out robotic vacuum cleaners, and a massive clearance on bar fridges starting from just $99. Prices reduced on clearance TVs, washing machines, kitchen and small appliances, as well as fridges. Domain Fish Week's floor stock clearance, 80 Colley Street Fish Week. Must end Sunday the 13th.
These few seconds of sanity are brought to you by Canberra Walk in Avery. Film, feed, or just lose yourself amongst the 60 species of birds in their 1,000 square metres of sanctuary. Book online at canberrawalkinavery.com.au. Canberra Walk in Avery, Gold Creek Village, Nichols. Beautiful noise. Beautiful noise.
Janine Florist, serving Canberra for over 65 years, helping you with a perfect gift. Whether it's a birthday, a thank you, or sending love during tough times, Janine Florist has the perfect arrangement, delivering 7 days a week all over Canberra so you can make someone smile anytime. Order before 2 p.m. for same-day delivery. Visit their store Monday to Saturday in Bailey's Corner Civic. Order online at janineflorist.com.au or just give them a ring. Janine Florist, where every bouquet tells a story. janineflorist.com.au.
Talking Canberra, 2CC, a Capital Radio Network station.
We're talking Canberra.
This is Ian Meikle, editor of the leading news website citynews.com.au. Every day of every week, we keep Canberrans informed through our local reporting and nationally via the impeccable resources of Australian Associated Press. No paywalls, see for yourself.
Craving the sizzle? Philly's Chicken by Carabar Takeaway has hatched next door. Treat the kids after school at Philly's Chicken. Enjoy happy hour Monday to Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Get fried chicken for just $1.45 per piece and soft serve cones for only 99 cents. Tasty deals await. Conditions apply. Whether delivery, pick up or dine in, Philly's Chicken is your new go-to for flavour-packed chicken. Philly's Chicken, now